And Thanksgiving is over. Christmas is a mere few weeks away.
What'd you get me?
Nothing. It's not Christmas yet. It's still like a few weeks away. I told you.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't mean that you're not getting some presents in your stocking early. It's the first day of Hanukkah, and it's time for the Rage Select podcast. It's not actually the first day of Hanukkah.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, like all you really care about is presents, and you find out that on Hanukkah you get like presents for like 8 days or whatever, and you're just like, what? Mom!
Unfair.
Can we convert, please? I'm just converting for the Hanukkah presents. Boy. Anyway, hey everybody, welcome back to the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. I'm Jeff.
Hi, Amanda.
It's been a while, Amanda, since you've been on the podcast.
Yeah, I've actively been avoiding it.
Oh, why?
Too long, these
Too many
podcasts.
Yeah. It's an endurance
That's
competition.
why I said I'm only doing it if you promise me they're only positive news.
No.
And
I made no
trailers.
No such promises were made.
And the best of questions.
It's like a 15-minute podcast.
It's just intros and outros.
No. Yeah. So, yeah, we have lots of trailers.
Yes.
We have a bunch of kind of bad news, everybody. But we also do have a shit ton of questions. So, but before we jump into all that, I don't know. I was going to say like, oh, I've been doing things over the last week, but all I've been doing is watching House and playing Red Dead. And that's pretty much it. Like, I got a 4K TV, but I haven't really used it yet.
Hilarious problems of like it's
too big.
It's got feet. It's got like 2 end feet instead of one center base, so you can't like put it on a table unless it's like 100% on the table. And hilarious problem.
Yep.
To me, it's funny problem.
Yeah. But I gotta tell you, Red Dead, Spider-Man, Dark Souls Remastered, like, shit looks good in 4K. But I was pissed off. Like, it used to be a thing where I was like, 4K problems. But I was looking through, like, what games have 4K, and I'm like, why is there not a patch for Bloodborne to play it in 4K? Like, I could play...
Of course you want there to be a patch for Bloodborne.
I mean, Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, okay, fine. Like, but Bloodborne's, like, my favorite, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, we're joining the ranks of 4K. Not to say that like we're going to be recording 4K videos because, quite frankly, that's just a lot. It's a shit ton more like hardware and equipment than I have. Yeah. And then like when you don't have a 4K TV and you're on YouTube and you're just like, what? We can get out of here with this 2160 bullshit. But yeah, and so I finally beat Red Dead.
Holy shit!
And
spoilers, go ahead.
Nuts. All right, so here's what happened in the last 17 missions. All right, if you're not past hour 30, to turn off the. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was very good. We won't have time because of the questions to do quote unquote review. But like, I just can't imagine. Like, if you're not into cowboy games, obviously don't play it. But like, it's probably like the most polished and well put together and longest and most filled up to the brim Rockstar game I've ever played.
It's the bestest, and I love it. And
yeah, all that stuff and more. What about you?
I've been playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Oh yeah.
And spoiler alert, I'm catching them all.
Oh shit!
I know. Calm down, everyone. It's really the most dense and most world-filled game I've ever played.
Sure, yeah. Totally worth it.
Yeah, it's a lot like.
Are you using the ball? Are you playing it with the ball?
So it depends. When John's playing Red Dead, I'm playing on the gamepad.
Okay.
And then because we play in the same room because we're a married couple and that's how we spend our time together.
Show enough.
But if he's not and I'm just playing at home and he's like at work or like recording here, then I play on the projector because we don't have a TV because we're fancy and we have a projector. And I play with the ball. So just depends.
Have you gotten used to it? Or
I was super used to it. A couple of days into because I adapted fairly well to it from that first episode.
It's just too small for my hand. Like,
yeah, it was hilarious seeing you. Like, you had to use 2 hands just to like kind of make it function.
Yeah, like I couldn't hold it with one hand. My friggin' mitts are too big.
At some point, John and I were like hanging out. I was playing the game. He fell asleep on the couch, so then I fell asleep. and I had the ball in my hand when I fell asleep, and so I woke up and my character was just walking around because I just like held onto the ball in a way.
You're playing it in your sleep?
That's how used to it I was.
Oh my.
But yeah, it's been fun so far. I mean, it's very much a Pokemon game. So if you've played the game for like the original Pokemon Blue or Red, it's that just a little. It's honestly a little simpler.
Well, yeah, because in the original one, when you encountered wild Pokemon, you had to like fight them first, and
you had to battle them down to like just before death,
right?
And then or fainting, and then you collect them. But in this, oddly frustrating, where you can't buy berries, but berries make it easier to catch them.
Okay,
and then you just try to catch them with Pokeballs. Like you just go for it right away.
Yeah, when I was at Best Buy the other day and I was buying the games for this week, I was watching some guy on their kiosk playing it, and he wasn't throwing the balls at the right time or in the right way, and I was like, I should go help that poor man. And I was like, no, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Let him play Pokemon. That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
I mean, you could always play it on the gamepad. You don't have to throw. You obviously aren't chucking your gamepad, so
you just throw the switch.
No, what it does is instead it's the screen will move, so you have to follow the Pokemon with the screen.
Oh, when it's in handheld mode.
Yeah, when it's in handheld mode, which is kind of annoying, and then you just hit a button to throw it at the same time. So.
All right. Yeah, I was actually thinking back, all I did this week was like, this was I got to get my car legal week. So it's I've got all these stories from getting a new driver's license, and that sucked, and then going to the tax assessor's office to get my registration renewed, and that sucked. And like, none of this is good. None of it's good for podcasts.
Just adulting.
Yeah.
I adulted the whole time.
Yep, sure did.
It was
the
worst.
Boo.
I
washed all my sheets this week. Okay.
Gross. When was the last time you did that? I don't want to talk about it.
Let's not. Hey, what about some news? Let's talk about a little bit of news. How about some of that news?
When you jumped on your bed, did just puff of dust come up when you jumped on in your bed? Do you know what I mean?
No, it's greasier than that.
Ew.
Hey,
you jump on your bed and just slide off the other side.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I don't want to talk about it either. I regret questioning anything.
Yes. No, it's not. It's just not something that's in my rotation. Like washing my sheets all the time. Like I only have one set of them, and it's like I got to pull them all off, and I got to do them all, and you got to bring them all back up, put them all back on your bed.
Who has time for that shit?
Not me. I got episodes of House. I got 8-year-old episodes of House to watch. Yeah. So anyway, into the news. We are going to start out with a fairly contentious grouping of newses because there was some controversy and some kind of shittiness and some overall bad stuff this week.
Okay.
I mean, none of it's like, we're not talking about like people getting swatted or shot or anything. Like just crappy bullshit.
That's nice.
Yes.
What kind of bad are we talking about, Jeff?
Bethesda.
More like bad Bethesda.
So we're going to start off this week with the Fallout 76 Power Armor Edition controversy. So here's the thing. Bethesda was offering the Power Armor Edition of Fallout 76. And it came with the helmet and a big box and like a map and some little figures in the game and then this bag over here.
Yeah.
And this is like the $100 gajillion edition.
Yeah.
So when people got their $100 gajillion edition, one of the things was this bag that you could put the helmet into. That, I mean, you could look at it. It looks like a nylon bag, right?
Yeah, it looks like a duffel bag or like a almost like a bowling bag. Is that the bag?
So that's this is what it looks like here, and it is obviously a canvas bag.
Correct.
And when people got it, it's like a nylon plastic garbage.
It looks like one of those free bags you get at like a convention.
Yeah, like to put a bunch of swag in your swag
it's
bag.
not really supposed to hold more than like the free posters and like pins you get from con.
So somebody complained about this, like you do.
Bethesda just sent him a picture of their CEO giving him the middle finger.
Well, let's see. Here's a quote. We are sorry that this is from the direct correspondence between one of the customers and Bethesda. We are sorry that you weren't happy with the bag. The bag shown in the media was a prototype and was too expensive to make. We aren't planning to do anything about it.
They literally said we aren't planning to do anything about it?
Direct quote from somebody who contacted Bethesda.
Wow.
Now, since then, they have relented a little bit, and rather than doing anything, for reals about it, they gifted anybody who got this edition 500 of the in-game tokens for buying swag and loot and shit in Fallout 76.
Yeah. How much do things cost in game? Is 500 tokens a lot?
Well, to put it in perspective, I do believe that this bag actually exists in the game, and either the bag or like the costume that comes with the bag is 700. You can't even get
the bag,
the actual bag.
That's amazing.
So yeah, like the debacle that is Fallout 76 rolls right on. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm just gonna say, I don't ever do collector's editions. Like, I don't like things, stuff.
I'm a minimalist. Anyway, let me tell you about my 4K TV.
I'm trying to figure out, when you get a new TV, I got the 4K TV, I got TV downstairs, TV in my studio, and I've got this old ass TV in here that we play the games on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do I even do with that TV? I mean, I gotta put it in my bedroom. I don't watch TV in my bed.
Yeah.
I don't even change my sheets, right? I only go in there for one thing, to collapse.
I change my TV? That's crazy.
Right. So I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this 8-year-old TV that, I mean, it's fine. It works. Like, it's functional, but anyway, I don't buy collector's editions, but I feel like the people that do, they want that thing, right?
Yeah.
Like they want the junk, the figure, the box, the RC car, the night vision goggles, whatever the fuck it is that comes in your collector's, the little box. The Uncharted had like the Keyblade from Uncharted 2. That was a weird one.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, when people buy this shit, they want that thing. And like, man, there's a lot of things that we have gotten used to putting up with when it comes to like the gold edition or like early access with the platinum edition digital of your game, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, or season pass to get the rest of the game that you bought for $60. Whatever. That's all a separate thing. But like, oh, come the fuck on. Just like the people that spent like 150 whatever bucks on your game, give them that thing.
Well,
like,
I mean, is that not false advertisement? Especially because it's not even made out of the same material. Like, there's a difference between like a fake hamburger in a commercial versus the hamburger you get, because I mean, they distinctly say like it's bread, meat, cheese, or whatever. But like, that was clearly a picture of something made out of a completely different material and was a different shape than what the other one was.
It was $199. It's $200
fucking
for this.
$200. You could pay for that extra fucking fabric.
I would be willing to bet that there's some little thing, there's some little note at the bottom of this. It's just like this, because I mean, you could even see in this picture that like the helmet looks shittier than it does in the promo for it. Like, I don't know. I feel like I take your point entirely. It's just I think
it's just like a real fucking weird slope that we're in, where it's like, well, they should know that they're gonna get something that's not actually what the picture is.
Right.
It's like, I don't think they should. Like, at what point then you're really fucking with the idea of purchasing things online,
right?
Or purchasing things out of store where like it's not in store and all you're seeing is that picture and you're going to like a GameStop and getting it or whatever.
Yeah.
Because if it's not what you're getting, then what
I don't know.
the fuck is the
like,
point? Then why do it?
I guess for my money, I feel like every time that I buy a thing, I've been conditioned that I'm going to open like the box and it's going to look like terrible. It's going to be
right. But when that happens, it's usually like, oh, it's this weird knockoff from China thing. It's never like it shouldn't be. Like, if you're buying something from a brand, if you're like, I want this sweater, it's from Target, it should still be a fucking functioning like sweater. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. No, I gotcha.
It's just I don't really like the way this is going, as far as like, we want you to purchase everything before it's actually fully created and before it's you can see it in person, and then it's your own fault if it's not what we pretended it was going to be.
Right. Well, you know what? There's somebody out there that totally agrees with you, and that would be the law firm of Migliaccio and Rathod.
That sounds like they sound like video game character names.
Who put together a class action lawsuit against Bethesda over Fallout 76 that basically says you sold a broken game and you won't accept returns, and like you can't just sell a fucked up product and then not let people return it when they are dissatisfied with it. Because, here's one of the interesting things that I don't know. I hadn't really put together because, Fallout 76 was so just like, the moment I saw it, I was like, I'm not really into that.
Yeah.
But like Bethesda has their own like Steam client launcher.
Right.
And you can't buy Fallout 76 on the PC on Steam. And one of the reasons is probably because Steam has a 2-day, 2-week refund, where if you played the game for less than 2 hours, or you've owned it for less than 2 weeks, you can refund your game on Steam. And Steam is very good about just like give you back your money.
Right.
The Bethesda launcher has no such like refund thing. Like they won't take back. It's the standard video game horse shit of like they won't take back opened games, right?
Yeah.
So I highly doubt that this is going to come to anything. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the win that they could get, like they're not going to force Bethesda to take back 600,000 copies of Fallout 76.
Is Fallout 76 broken? Like, is there a difference?
Yes.
There's a difference between a bad game and like, is it actually broken? Because from what I could tell, it's exactly what they said it was going to be. It's just not as exciting as they try to promote it to be.
I think that the thing is that there are a lot of bugs in the game. Like you and I we didn't really see it on any of the stuff that we recorded.
Nothing that I recall.
But apparently there's like a bunch of like respawn bugs and stuff. And so there was a 56 gig day one patch for Fallout 76. And there's still, and we're like, 2-3 weeks after it's been released. And apparently there's still a lot of problems with it. So much so that actually Bethesda, in the third story, came out and apologized for not like getting to this shit sooner. Apparently on December 4th, they're putting out a patch.
We honestly thought you guys wouldn't notice.
That offers fixes, respawning when over encumbered, players getting stuck in power armor, boss loot drops, cryolator effects.
Something funny about somebody getting stuck in power armor.
Yeah.
Help me.
December 11th, there's going to be another one for camp placement and respecking and stuff like this. What it all adds up to is just basically this. Like, this is one of those things. And this is, I like this because this combines a lot of different things that we complain about when it comes to the video game industry on one thing, right? You had a game that people are dissatisfied with that seems to have been sold under somewhat false pretenses, right? You got the collector's edition where it's like, oh, here's a thing, but it's actually this other thing instead. You've got a buggy game that hasn't been like fixed or whatnot. And a lot of this basically comes down to that like, I'm a very big proponent in the idea, like, not that consumers should be able to run roughshod over companies, right?
Right.
A lot of people, I have a friend who was like, he actually worked in the video game industry, and so he was like super pro corporate. Anytime there was anybody that had anything bad to say about video games, it was like, oh, these whiny bitches, they don't even know what they want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't totally buy on with that, but I have seen a lot of like, Steam thumbs down, no FOV support, right? Like, whole game is garbage. Like, I'm giving it a no because it doesn't have one tiny thing that may get patched in later.
Right.
On the other hand, I kind of think that you should be able to return games. For years, the industry has basically made the claim that, if we let people return video games, that they would just buy the game,
play
beat it, and then bring it back. But
that's ridiculous. I used to work at a bookstore, and we took back every place. It's fucking any place that sells items. Right. You buy clothes, you could easily just wear it for the day and then take it back, or you buy books, and how do we know they're not just
reading the books
as fast as humanly possible and then bringing it back? And it's just like, you set time limits that we can all agree is probably a bit too soon for anyone to like honestly sit down and do that. And yeah, it might happen, but it's not enough that it would affect your.
Well, it's like, to me, it's also somewhat like the piracy question of like the people who are going to buy your game and play it and then immediately return it are in the minority. Like it would be one thing if it was common knowledge that the way that all of us gamers worked was that we went out and bought the new game and then like as soon as we finished it, we immediately took it back and refunded the entire amount that we got. Like, I just don't think that most people do that. I mean, most people I don't, and if they are doing that, I don't know. It seems to me like you're restricting one of the common aspects of like retail consumer rights in order to deal with a very small increment of one situation. Yeah. You know, it'd be like putting everything in the store behind iron bars because sometimes people shoplift.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like yes, you can cut down on the shoplifting, but it's a really bad experience for the customer. Yeah. You know, so I really just think that the way to I feel honestly, and I don't really even know what to do with this information, that like, you know, you look at all the loot boxes and all the pre-order DLCs and the collector's editions and broken games and buggy games and whatnot. And to me, the answer to all this shit is a reasonable return policy. Because if a company knows that they can't get away with selling you some bullshit, that you will return it and you will get your money back, and that the retailers will goddamn well get their money back from you as well. Yeah. Because if you sell something that is fundamentally broken, flawed, or bad, or just really bad, you know, there's a reason that they don't release asylum films in theaters, right? Like, you know, and there are distribution methods for if you want to put out a crappy game. Hey, man, you know what? Steam has tons of $5 crappy games. You know what you were getting into when you bought there was a Russian GTA knockoff that I think was supposed to be charming and how bad it was that flowed through Steam last week.
God, I hate the charming with how bad it is thing that's happening right now.
Yeah. It was like $7 and I was like, okay, but for $7, right? Like, yeah. But you know, $200 collector's edition of Fallout, they don't give you everything that they said, and the game is like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, we got an email that we're going to address later on about this, but I mean, I didn't really like it. I just didn't really see much of it. And, you know, all of this stuff could be solved if you just had a way to basically go get your money back, because then the company couldn't fuck you. They couldn't fuck you and get away with it. And then.
Right. But it's once they're able to get away with it, which they are now.
Yeah.
It's damn near impossible to pull back on it.
I would think so.
Because we're locked in at this point. You're locked in with your purchase.
Yeah.
There is no, like, wiggle room. There's not a lot of wiggle room. Like, there's certain scenarios, but it's definitely an uphill battle more so than any other time.
Well, what's interesting to me is that I think you could actually make a case for it on the is that it would be one thing trying to force like Bethesda to accept returns, but I think that like it would be really interesting if the next generation, like let's say that Microsoft comes out with the Xbox 2 or whatever it is, right?
Oh, I was calling it Scarlet or something.
I don't think we're not entirely sure whether that is the next one or whether it's just a hardware revision with no optical drive. But if they said, "Hey, we're going to take the optical drive out of the Xbox, so everything is going to be digital on the Xbox, but we're going to allow you to return stuff within these parameters," right? Uh-huh. Like that would be a way for them to like maybe as a company get a leg up on say Sony to say like Sony will let you return stuff, but you know what? The game
Sony
is
doesn't
bad.
Love you like we love you.
Yeah, we'll let you return it, and then in that case, it doesn't matter what Bethesda or EA wants because Microsoft is the one that runs the store, not Bethesda or EA.
Right.
So.
I think it'd be really interesting to for them to do that because I think that there is a bit of a rift between the games and like all the companies and the consumer right now.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of negative press with like loot boxes and with things like every other thing that Bethesda does. And it would be interesting if somebody decided to do that to really harness a better relationship between the customer and the product. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anybody cares. Like, I don't know if anybody that's making money off of us not being happy cares.
Right. Well, in other news, we know that Ubisoft doesn't care because last week, basically, there was Trials. You remember Trials, the little motorcycle game? You do flips and stuff. The new version of Trials is apparently going to have cosmetic loot boxes in it. Mm-hmm. And somebody on the Steam forums basically was just like, well, fuck that. I'm not going to buy this game anymore. Like, cancel my pre-order or whatever. And one of the devs actually came in, or a publisher representative going by the handle of UB_Warlock, who said, quote, "As has been pointed out, these loot crates are purely cosmetic. I do appreciate why players feel the way that they do about them. Not a huge fan myself. However, as it was pointed out, you can always just not buy them. And ultimately, they're intended for players who want something to help them stand out from the crowd while playing online, or even just those who are big fans of the game and want to support us further. Yes, it means that some players end up spending more on our games than others, and that does result in increased profits for us. It also helps us to put more money into new titles and to understand what players look for in their games. If players simply didn't buy these loot crates, they would not be added into games in the future. All loot crates / cosmetic items in general have been a boon for the gaming industry, being a driving factor in the increased popularity of gaming over the last decade or so. They aren't a bad thing if done right." So
I'm never against
cosmetic.
Thank you. I was like, aesthetic? That's not the word. You only said it like 4 times. Cosmetic loot boxes. Because it is just kind of whatever you want. It's weird to me that people get real upset about those. But it is, I guess it's the slippery slope argument of just like, well, if they do that, then they're going to start adding in other stuff. They're going to try to make it more like, quote unquote, worth your while.
So there's a couple of arguments that I always try to keep in mind. And one is that, like, first off, the idea of a cosmetic loot box, like, I'm mostly my feet are mostly on your side of the aisle, but I tiptoe a little bit on the other side in that, like, the one thing that is a little bothersome is that the loot boxes, like those cosmetic items, used to be things that you got for playing the game. Mm-hmm. And it feels like locking them out into another place. Like, I guess the problem that I'm having is that, like, there's this trend when you look at the video game industry of, like, first DLC, right? Mm-hmm. Like, first there was DLC, and then we got the season pass, and then we got, like, now we're into, like, loot boxes. The trend to me seems to be in a direction of, like, fuck you. Like, we need, I guess.
But are the cosmetic loot boxes exclusively pay? Or do you earn ways to get them? Because how would earning, like, you don't get a bunch all the time, like one right after another. Every time you fucking touch the controller for that game, right, you get another loot box. But if it's something where you're just earning it and then you unlock it and you get stuff, how is that any different than playing a game where you have to beat it as this character if you want the next costume, which we've been doing since we were fucking kids?
Well, that's true. That's true.
Because, like, to me, like, Overwatch, you can easily, I've never put in more money for Overwatch. I've exclusively earned my skins through playing the game and just getting loot boxes.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I guess what's changed my thinking a little bit about it is that, like, I try not to think of Overwatch as the example of loot boxes, because Blizzard is pretty good at shearing the sheep and not skinning it.
Right.
Like,
but it's just my example of, like, this is how it should be done and this is how I'm expecting other people to do it.
Sure.
Because I would rather everyone rise up to that level than to, like, balance it out to something that's, like, not as
I guess it's
good.
It's weird to me because, you know what? I think that my perfect example these days is probably going to end up being Red Dead 2 and GTA 5 for that matter, where, like, I paid $60 for Red Dead. I paid $60 for.
You heard it here. That was his review. Fuck Red Dead.
That was my review. Thumbs down. Fuck Red Dead. Not enough cowboy hats. 0 out of 10. I bought Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 had like an 18-hour campaign or 20-hour campaign or something like that. Mm-hmm. The 3 different characters, cutscenes, cars, blowing stuff up. It was all great. I loved it. And then there was the online thing. And you can totally buy the cash in the online. You can buy those cash cards for the online, so you can buy, like, better cars or guns or whatever you want to. But, like, I did not have to engage with that at all unless I went to the online mode. Because Trials totally has a, like, regular single player option, right? I guess I kind of feel like I don't want it to be sitting there. I don't want to be on a menu that I got to look at that's like, you sure you don't want to spend some money over here, buddy? Look at all the cool stuff we got over here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get that.
I don't know. I can also largely ignore it. And there is,
but I mean, and it is also the difference between like adults playing video games where we like have a budget and shit, and like kids being like,
I want it. I want it.
And not necessarily like having the whole rest of the idea of like the finances of it and the fact that you've already paid like $60 for a game and now you're trying to pay like $5 extra once a week for the fucking rest of your time playing that game and all that.
I mean, I get it. When we used to go on family car rides when I was a kid, and I remember I used to collect the Marvel cards, like there was like baseball cards with their Marvel cards.
I had them.
And my mom would, when we went on long trips, she would buy a box of the packs. And then like every hour, she would give me and my sister another pack of cards. And we'd open them up and look at them.
See who you got.
Who do I get? Who do I get? And like, man, that was like
that's genius.
A real rush. Like it was great. Kept us fucking behaved for 18 hours.
Yeah, before long drives, my parents we would go to Toys R Us and we would get to pick a toy. I get to pick a toy. My brother would get to pick a toy, and what we would do is we game the system, and we would pick when they'd have like packs where it'd be like 4 tiny figures.
Oh yeah.
And then he would get like one half of the pack, so we'd get one pack, and I'd get another pack, and then we would just intermix, and we'd end up with like 8 toys.
There you go.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like that's another good point that like it's not a problem for you or I because it's like, well, whatever.
Yeah, we're not the target anyway.
Yeah. Like, whereas younger people or people who just, I mean, like, I always think about it when I talk to Michael where he gets, like, really excited about stuff. Yeah. Whereas I'm just like, okay, like, hey, Just Cause 4 is coming out next week. I'd like to play that, but I'm not just like, I can't wait. Right?
Michael's throwing chairs out windows like, fucking give it to me.
Well, I mean, like, I feel like a lot of people were like that with Spider-Man, where I was like, oh, yeah, the Spider-Man game looks good. And, people like Jason and, I mean, John and Michael and all the Spider people that I know.
Oh, my favorite thing is how mad people are because of what are they, like, tokens or something that you need to, like, challenge tokens to get all the skins. And they're like, I have to keep playing and trying to get these tokens. And it's just so fun. You know that if they
sold those tokens... I might have bought them already. God bless Screwball and the DLC. Anyway, so speaking of loot boxes, we also had a brief thing where the FTC is investigating loot boxes to basically kind of make a determination as to whether or not they're gambling.
Right.
Because that's a thing now, right? Like it's entirely possible.
It triggers the same like receptors in your brain as gambling does.
Yeah.
Because it hits that same like reward loss thing.
Yeah, risk reward.
That's the word. Several words. Three.
But this week, the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, the folks who run E3 and do a bunch of other stuff, basically put out a reinforced their stance that they have decided that loot boxes and gambling are like nothing alike. And their rationale, as they've said several times in the past, is that like in gambling, you can put in money and get back nothing. Like you never get back nothing with a loot box. You always get back something. And also that there aren't physical things that you're getting. And the whole thing is dubious, man. Like, and the at the end of the day, I mean, just to close up on this particular topic, like, you're going to have a really hard time getting me to feel sad for the video game industry that makes all this money and like has consistently for years been in the habit of like getting a studio to make a game that makes that company millions of dollars and then dissolving that studio right away and like firing all the people that worked on it. And, crunch and blah, 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 all this pre-order bonuses from different retailers.
It's like a slaughterhouse, man. You just like go through, get grinded up, and then churned out as some other product, and then you do it all again.
It's kind of my political view, which is just like if your stance is that like, well, corporations need to make more money. They're not making enough money. That I'm just like, I don't care. Like whatever you're going to say after that, no.
Yeah.
Because you've made enough money, and if you can't make enough money, then you're like there's a reason why McDonald's is everywhere. And there's much fewer Burger Kings in the United States. Mm-hmm. Like, if you do the thing better than your competitor, then you'll make a lot of money. Like, I'm not in the habit of having sympathy for a company that does something poorly and then needs to basically use Skinner box techniques to get more money out of you.
I'm always going to be on the side of the consumer.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you're not, then you're basically turning the consumer into like like a slave or like a money cow. You're just going to try to
moo.
But it's just funny. I was just thinking about it. The idea of like, well, you get something, so you're not getting nothing. Is such a weird idea, because if you say you played a slot machine, you put a quarter in, you pull the lever,
right,
and then out come little plastic useless nothings. You're still getting something.
Sure.
But it's worth no money, so you didn't win the thing you wanted to win, but you're getting something. That's still...
That would be an interesting thing if you were to create a slot machine that basically like cost a quarter to play, and if you lost, spit out like a 5-cent action figure.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's not gambling. Look, you got something.
Well, it's just, I mean, even going back to Overwatch, if I were to pay money for a loot box and all I got were fucking sound clips of voice lines
some
or
sprays,
that would feel like I got nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, thank God I finally got Genji saying that one fucking line. Like, it does feel like nothing.
Yeah. You might as well have given me nothing. It's like when you get the capsule things as a kid. And then you didn't get the one that you wanted. Like, I got the bad one. It's like, oh, good. I'm going to throw this on a shelf somewhere and then it'll be garbage.
Oh, I tossed them straight in the garbage.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I have very little sympathy for video game companies being like, well, you know, you guys want the best graphics in the world, so we've got to put a lot. And it's like, nobody has asked for that. I don't know anybody. I know a lot of people that would be more than willing to trade a reasonable art style with like decent graphics, as long as things like your story were good. And, you know, you see companies out there even right now that are literally making like it's a sticker on the box, like no loot boxes, no DLC, the whole thing's in the game. So, ESA is investigating loot boxes. One more loot box story. Square Enix, now that Belgium has basically said that you can't have any loot boxes at all in their country, has pulled 3 of their games: Mobius, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts Union X, and Dissidia, Final Fantasy Opera Omnia from mobile phones, because they were totally just fucking...
Oh, no. Really? Yeah. Those are... I feel like all mobile phone games are essentially loot box games.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. We all need to move to Belgium.
Are you allowed to buy blind boxes in Belgium? Like the physical toy blind boxes?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm wondering where
I know they had a thing, like Overwatch had I think it was Blizzard maybe, that had a thing in China where it was like you were buying... like you could spend money on, it was some thing where you were buying something, and then it was like,
you're not getting nothing.
give us, no, it was like literally like a store where it's like, okay, you're going to buy this for $5. Hey, guess what? We're also just going to give you some loot boxes when you spend $5, right? But,
interesting.
Anyway. No more loot boxes. Let's talk about Nintendo.
Anyway, the Nintendo
loot
box.
No. So anybody who knows anything about YouTube knows that for years Nintendo's been lousy about like monetizing YouTube. It actually hasn't happened to me on the last few Nintendo games that I've put up, and this might be why. Because after a while, Nintendo opened a thing called the Nintendo Creators Program, where if you were a popular YouTuber, you could essentially register with Nintendo, and they would give you back like half of the monetization from your video.
Thanks, YouTube.
Fuck you. That's why. Apparently, though, they're shutting that down.
Oh, okay.
This article didn't say a lot, but it sounds like they're basically going to let people just do like regular. The only restriction that they had was that it can't be just like
gameplay.
Just gameplay.
Yeah, you have
like
to talk
have
over
something.
A lot of game companies do that, where like if it's just a walkthrough, no commentary, they automatically get dinged. A lot of them already get dinged.
Yeah, and then they also have a rule about that the game that you're playing must also have already been released, which is pertinent because Smash Brothers leaked.
Did it?
Yeah. 2 weeks before launch. A lot of people who have it already and are playing it. I haven't bothered with any of that. Yeah. Apparently, though, like the Smash Brothers community is like mad because
I just want to say this. The Smash Brothers community is never happy.
Well, they're mad at the people who got it early because they're spoiling like things in the game that they don't have the ability to get to yet. But yeah.
Look away, Smash Brothers community.
Just don't go on Facebook. Don't go on Facebook or Twitter for 2 weeks. You know, just do it that way. Well, how about some Nintendo good news?
Okay.
Pokemon Go is the fastest selling title on the Nintendo Switch ever.
I've been waiting my entire life for a console version of a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
Like a legitimate Pokemon game and not one where you're just holding a camera. Although I do want that on the Switch.
Snap.
Yeah,
Pokemon
I want Snap on the Switch. So, yeah, of course it is. Like, everyone's been waiting for this.
Let's see. Looks like it's sold over 3 million units in the first weeks alone, and that's higher than Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey. Good for you, Pokemon people. I want more Mario and Zelda games, so I'm hoping that... but Nintendo...
I mean, they're not going to stop making Mario and Zelda games.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't want
That'd
them
be
focusing.
Weird if they're just like only Pokemon. No, there was like a whole thing for years that they were like, we're never putting this on consoles.
Yeah,
we're never making a console game. So of course it's going to be a big deal, and I'm sure they expected it to be. I don't think they were like, what? People want this?
Yeah. No, I'm actually more interested in the next one because I think it, like actual, or I don't know, did Niantic make that one or? I swear to God, there's like another one that's basically just going to be like not the simplified version, but basically like a full 3D version of the full complicated handheld ones, where it's not simplified. It's not the kind of more simplistic version of it.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, that's more just adding little details than anything. I mean, the complication isn't.
Yeah, Pokemon is popular. Who knew?
What?
Tell you what's not popular. Apparently,
RageSelect.com.
Hey now. Battlefield 5. Apparently, Battlefield 5 is they were down in the UK compared to Battlefield 1. Battlefield 5 is 63% down.
What? But we did all that free advertisement for them on Sunday.
Yeah, and we had such a great time doing it.
Yeah, I had a good time. It was so much fun.
Now, this is the second. There was another one of these for Fallout 76, comparing it to the last one of those as well. It's worth noting, though, that I don't feel like these take into account digital sales, so it's difficult to know whether that's a significant actual decrease or whether all of those sales were just on the digital front, especially because Battlefield 5 had, like, you got it 3 days early if you bought it digital, so I don't know. It will be interesting, though, because I feel like over the last... If it turns out that Battlefield 5 kind of tanks, like, damn, guys, because that's Battlefront 2 and then Battlefield 5, like... EA and DICE are if they're 0 for 2, then, like, I hope that whatever you're going to put out next year is really good, or that you learn anything from these things.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't like to jump on all this, but you know, like when the first Battlefield 5 trailer came out and it had the lady with the bionic arm or whatever, and everybody was all mad about it. Like, you know, there was some kind of interview with Patrick Soderlund before he left, who was like the producer or something on Battlefield 5, where he was just like, well, you know what? If you don't like that, you just fuck off and not buy our game. Like, he was basically just like...
was like,
okay. Like, maybe that's not the way to do this, you know? And
again, I feel like fucking game companies right now are very, like, combative with their consumer.
Yeah.
And they're not... You need to have a good relationship.
Yep.
Blizzard, right now, everyone's really mad at them over the Diablo 3.
Immortal, yeah.
Yeah. And I get that, but they're mad because Blizzard has usually had a really good relationship with their customers. And I don't think this is a bad relationship. I think it's just the customers being so used to being like the customer's always right with them that they're getting a little aggressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just think that maybe I just feel like more often than not when we hear these stories and it's like, and let's hear what one of the higher ups at this company has to say. And it's always like, well, why don't you guys go fuck yourself?
Right.
And then they just dab their eyes with $100 bills because they don't give a fuck and they're making your money anyway. But at this point, people really are stopping purchasing. Yeah. I think it's really showing. And also, we're all fucking poor and can't afford all the games. So if you're going to treat us like shit, guess what? We'll go play Red Dead 2.
Yep, that's $60 well spent. I was actually looking at EA's shop just because I was curious what they actually released this year. I think it was Unravel 2, Madden, NBA, NHL, FIFA, Battlefield 5. I think that's...
Wow.
I think that's it. I'm I don't care about most of that. I didn't really care about Battlefield 5. I mean,
I didn't
played it, but I haven't cared about Battlefield in a long time. And, you do all this, EA, and I'm going to tell you right now, Anthem better be the fucking the shit, because you keep digging that bad will and you haven't done that thing where a company abuses you for years and then they put out one really good game and you're just like, oh, I love them.
Yeah.
You forget all about it. But there hasn't been a rest in the EA shit parade for 2 years now. So
when was the last time somebody actually survived doing a shit parade? Do you know what I mean? I really feel like it's been bad game, bad game, bad game. Oh, it's too bad we didn't get to do this last game that we were going to do because that's going to be the one you guys wanted. And it's pfft,
yeah.
Too late now, bro.
Yep. Anyway, back to Battlefield 5 very briefly.
Hang on, we're not done.
Also, it's been discounted to $30. It's been out for a week and a half.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know about when this comes out, but at the time of recording, which this is the 29th, you can go to Best Buy's website and it's $40 there as opposed to $60. And that's not even counting the fact that, as I said, if you bought the $80 to $90 version, that you then got the 4-day early access to the game or whatever it was. Yeah. It's the idea that it's just been so drastically discounted. Fallout, the same thing. It was $25 or $30 off of 76 during Black Friday sales, and it was just you don't ever see games that have been out for 2 weeks drop by half. Yeah. Because you can't do that. Because if you do that, then the people that paid $60 for your game are going to be like, all right,
I should have just waited. Yeah.
I guess I won't buy any of this shit when it comes out, right? Because if it's just going to wait 2 weeks and then pay half, I'm just going to start buffering Rage Select to 2 weeks,
right?
Things that have been out for 2 weeks. Anyway, all right, so we're done crapping on EA
for now.
Let's take a second and crap on Sony a little bit, shall we?
Oh,
okay. Crapped on Bethesda, Ubisoft, EA. Nintendo a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit.
Light crapping.
Yep. So let's see. By the time this podcast comes out, you will have T-minus 1 day until the old PlayStation Classic hits the shelves.
Oh yeah,
$100. Little PlayStation. It's got 20 games on it. I think everybody at this point is kind of disappointed because the game lineup is not what anybody wants. Yeah. Half of them are racing games. There's a bunch of dumb sports games. It's
but it's a tiny PlayStation.
Yep. But
I like to pretend like I'm a giant.
One of the things that was revealed this week is that Battle Arena Toshin, Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Grand Theft Auto, Jumping Flash, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Tekken 3, and Rainbow Six will all be running the PAL versions of the ROMs for the PlayStation.
What does that mean?
Okay, so in Europe, PAL is the TV standard. We have NTSC over here.
Yeah.
PAL tops out at, or not, I don't know if it tops out at, but is generally broadcast at 50 hertz. We do 60 hertz.
Because we're better?
Well, it's now just been everybody does 60 hertz, right? But when you play a game at 60 frames per second, it's 60 hertz because you got a TV that can do 60 hertz, right?
Yeah.
So the ROMs that they're using are the 50 hertz ROMs from Europe, and nobody's entirely sure why.
Yeah.
Like, there are 60 hertz ROMs of these games. They're on pirate websites, but yeah. So, and then what's weird is that it's not even for all of them. So, like, that's about half of the games that are on there, but like Intelligent Cube is 60 hertz. Like, Final Fantasy VII is 60 hertz. Like,
that's weird.
It's really strange. Like, they've really just kind of bungled this thing.
Well, it seemed a bit like Nintendo's doing a thing.
Yeah. Let's get on that.
Let's get on that.
Let's make a handheld console and then never support it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, and it's just how much is it? Isn't it
$100?
Yeah, and that seems too expensive.
Yep.
To me, like I'd probably feel okay paying $60.
I think that what they really fucked themselves, and I think that the way that they fucked themselves is that the PlayStation Network has PlayStation 1 games that you can play on the PlayStation 3,
right?
And I think some on the PS4, some on the Vita, right? Why didn't you just make this thing as an engine that came with like sell it for $40 with, and then it's got 5 credits for 5 games, but that you could then buy any of those PS1 classic titles that are already there, make it compatible with that. Hell, if it has to be $60, if it has to be $100, if it was $100 and then it came with 10 credits for PSX games, but I can choose which PSX games I put on there.
Yeah,
totally down. This thing looks great. Like the way that they've made these are USB ports, but the end of the controller is shaped like the plug from the old days.
Yeah.
Like I love the way that this thing looks. The open button switches discs if you have a multi-disc game.
Yeah.
Like, I love the way this little motherfucker looks. But like, I just don't want to play Destruction Derby or Jumping Flash or Cool Borders or Rainbow Six or like, I don't want to play like 2/3 of the games that are on there. And like, I might get one just to put it on the show, but I would never get one regular.
I feel like, honestly, just wait for it to be cheaper and then you buy it and then you get a Raspberry Pi and then you just...
Well, that's the thing. I've already got a Raspberry Pi. And
yeah, but then you have the nice case for it. You just like take out all the shit that's in that and then you burn into that. And it's super fucking cute.
I got...
Did you hear that Nintendo's not doing anything beyond the SNES Classic?
Yep.
What the fuck is up with that, Nintendo? I want my goddamn tiny, adorable GameCube. I told John I wanted to be a Nintendo version of Pinhead from Hellraiser, and then I was just going to hold a little tiny GameCube.
Tiny GameCube in your hand? That'd be great. Okay, well, I tell you what. Let's shift some gears and talk about some more positive stuff. The VGAs are coming up the day after tomorrow.
Is that positive?
Well, it is positive in one respect, in that the VGAs are such an event that we usually get. I don't watch the VGAs. It's like the Super Bowl, but I do watch the trailers because there's enough eyes on it. So we have some rumors of things that we might be seeing at the VGAs, which is really exciting. One is that we might finally see Rocksteady's Superman: World's Finest, because there was a listing on the internet for Superman's World's Finest by Rocksteady Games. Rocksteady, of course, has been like completely silent since Arkham. Well, I guess Arkham VR was the last one that they technically had their hands on.
Right.
So, and you know what? Like, hey man, I like those Arkham games. I like Superman. I'm totally down for this.
Be interesting.
Come on.
Can't make them the exact same, so it'd be interesting. You have to do something different with Superman.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So that's one. I'm really excited. I know that during E3 in the chat box, like whenever we started getting to the end of one of the press conferences, people were like, what about that Superman game? It's like, guys, no, they're not going to do that. Next up, there is a rumor that we might possibly be getting a new Alien game. Alien: Blackout. Jeff Keighley's been tweeting a bunch of sassy crap out there, and one of them was this kind of
bitch.
Worlds will change in the kind of Wayland Yutani font.
Yeah.
So
could be anything.
Could be anything. But you know what? The last one of those, it wasn't really my cup of tea, but a lot of people tend to like it. So hey,
still could be good. I'm hopeful.
Obsidian, on the other hand, has like a full on like like advertising campaign saying that they're going to be announcing this thing.
Oh.
It's a new sci-fi game that they're going to be making, and
define new.
New?
I just, well, actual like new, not from anything else.
I don't think so,
Okay.
because they've got this kind of iconography.
They still do those? People still do those?
Real games that aren't just either sequels or remakes of an old game or a tiny plastic box with 20 old games on it.
Oh my God. $100.
They've got a few things on their website, and they've got this weird kind of aesthetic where it looks like kind of an old-timey like advertisement, but what it's advertising is like a futuristic-looking like weapon or ship. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm interested to see what that is. It's also going to be interesting because Obsidian got bought by Microsoft to know whether this is going to be an Xbox One exclusive. Because Microsoft picked up Obsidian and the Ninja Theory and In Exile and a bunch of studios. So it'll be real interesting to see that. And then also, I don't know if this is going to be actually happening at the Game Awards. Probably not. But BioWare has teased that they're going to be coming out with some Dragon Age stuff soon.
Is that how they said it?
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want some Dragon Age stuff?
Yes. General Manager Casey has teased some details about, quote, secret Dragon Age stuff, unquote, would be arriving later this month.
That's my favorite kind of verbiage.
Secret stuff?
He might as well said shit.
Yeah.
You guys want some Dragon Age shit coming up?
Yep. I'm interested. You know what? Okay, let me just say this. I get the impression, Amanda,
yes,
that after Mass Effect Andromeda, let's say that EA and company have fucked around to the point where Anthem is a failure. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be another Dragon Age or Mass Effect or anything or BioWare the corporation that is dissolved and rearranged internally into other companies. But who knows? Apparently there's also something Mass Effect related on the horizon.
Mass Effect Online.
Mass Effect
76.
Remade the first game. We remade the first game. We can't think of anything else. We're just doing it all over again. Putting it in Frostbite, making Mass Effect.
If you made the first Mass Effect only like kind of nicer and a little slightly
slicker,
yeah. I would not be against that.
Take out all that driving bullshit.
There's so much garbage in the first Mass. I know it's a loved game, but oh my God, it's so hard to go back and play.
I don't ever want to play it again. I've tried loading it up a few times.
I was like, I want to fuck Garrus Vakarian, and you got to play the first game if you want to fuck him in the second game.
Do you?
Yeah.
You can't just make.
You have to have like an established friendship or I forget what it is, but it's definitely one you can't just.
Did you play the entire game just to be able to bone Garrus? You just look that shit up on YouTube.
I did because I wasn't going to play the first Mass Effect.
Speaking of YouTube, let's talk about some trailers. We got Just Cause 4 trailer. One Man Did All This. It's a live action trailer with this lady yelling at troops. And meanwhile, we're flashing over to Rico Rodriguez flying around. He's got tornadoes and
he's attaching people to balloons. And what are they?
Like you can drop a tank on
like
stuff.
Straight up like hospital full of people. Like he was crazy, man.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. The only problem I have is that it doesn't seem like it knows whether it wants to. Like parts of it are really funny.
Yeah.
But then this lady is just too serious to.
She's an odd straight man for the guys being hilarious.
I almost feel like they should have just cut at the end when they turn and there's a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Because after that, she's like, I'm going to find out what actually happened. And when I do, you're all going to be sorry. And it's like, wait, what? That wasn't funny. Like, that was just, the game is coming out.
Yeah,
so
like not Kmart Rosario Dawson was a little too angry.
Yeah. But otherwise, I mean, Just Cause is coming out day after tomorrow when this comes out. And hey, as long as it doesn't, the only problem I had with Just Cause 3 was that it had that dumb, you remember when it was in vogue for people to be like, hey, your buddy, Rage Select has gone 600 meters. You should try going 650 meters.
Oh God, I don't remember they did that, but
and
that's awful.
It wouldn't turn off. And then
we're going to harass you.
The only way that you could do it was you literally had to take your console offline. And then it was just bullshit. So hopefully you guys fix that because I like Just Cause the franchise. I like attaching people to trucks and then putting rockets on that truck and then make the truck fly off into the distance. There's videos I love online of people in Just Cause 3 because there's these little mines that you attach and then when you hit the button, they basically just become jet engines.
Yeah.
And attaching those to
just rocketing people away from you?
Cows.
Oh, God damn it.
Putting them all on the back of a bunch of cows and just whee.
You monster.
Yeah. We got a trailer for Star Wars Battlefront 2 Battle of Geonosis.
Yay.
Speaking of all this EA bullshit, I actually played a little bit of this for Patreon with Michael. This is pretty cool. If the whole game was like this, I think the game would have been more well received.
Yeah.
They put in young Kenobi. They had already put in
sexy young Kenobi.
Grievous. So you got Grievous versus Kenobi on
McGregor Kenobi.
What if Mustafar?
Grievous is fucking horrifying.
Oh, and he's running around
like spider, and he's going after you.
Yeah,
fuck that shit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a really wide open map. It also is nice because I feel like a lot of the maps in Battlefront 2 where it was just like, here's Yavin 4, and I'm like, Yonzo.
Yeah, neat.
Even Crate kind of sucked. Like, but this one, like, there's all these rocks and everything, and then you're playing as clone troopers, and there's all these droids coming at you. And, oh shit, Grievous is coming! And then because they don't limit the heroes, it's like, oh fuck, Rey is here! Oh, look out! And then I guess it's weird because technically Rey is on the droid side because the clone troopers become the stormtroopers. No, the clone troopers are the good guys. So Rey is on the clone trooper side, and then like Darth Vader is on the robot side. But
that's all kinds of confusing.
Anyway, just remember, if you bought Battlefront 2, you get it for free because there wasn't a season pass because they were doing loot boxes instead of season passes. Last Remnant has a new trailer. I've talked about this before. This is coming out pretty soon. This is a really weird old Square Enix game that they've done some work on. Mm-hmm. And as much as I'm somewhat tired of remasters, I feel like this game never really got much of a chance, and I've never got a chance to play it. Mm-hmm. And it's looks kind of cool. So yeah. I don't know. I'd be interested in checking it out.
I said this when you showed it to me before, but like the visuals are great, but it doesn't look like a game I would play. I'm just like, wow, that's really pretty. Wow, that's really pretty. And then you see the gameplay and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that.
I think it's interesting because, you and I we've seen a bunch of trailers of just like fantasy anime games. Yeah. And like, I feel like this even looks different than those.
Yeah,
like,
it's got the hint of it where you get it, but it's different enough.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna start cutting a few things here. There was a new Ace Combat 7 trailer. I love Ace Combat. Y'all have heard it all before.
Yeah. I mean, the trailer is really just planes going by.
Yeah. And we also got a new Resident Evil 2 trailer, which
looks fucking great.
Looks great. It's coming out in January. Ben and I were talking about, I don't know, maybe seal Resident Evil full playthrough. Maybe. I don't know.
That's for future us problems, not now us problems.
Past us are writing checks that future us can't cash.
Yeah, like it comes out and we're like, fuck, I don't want to do it anymore.
We got a Foxy revealed trailer for Mutant Year Zero.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, there's an actual fox with like a shotgun. This is an XCOM style game that I've been looking forward to for a little while now. I think it's actually coming out next week. So far, there's like a boar man, and there's like a duck man, and there's a lady that turns into rocks, and now there's a lady that's also a fox.
Yeah. Foxy lady.
Yep.
Which should have been the song they played, and not this weird '80s hair metal band.
I was strangely okay with the 80s hair metal.
I'm never mad at it, but I want to play that duck.
Yeah. I'm
all about anthropomorphic ducks. I don't know why.
One of his outfits has a giant top hat on.
Oh, my God.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm into it.
Yeah. So that's Mutant Year Zero. It's coming out the day after tomorrow. And finally on the trailer front, we got some Mario Tennis aces.
Yeah.
You play as Rosalina Star.
Luma.
You play as Boom Boom, one of the Bowser kids. But more than anything, you can play as Rosalina. And you bet your bottom dollar they're playing that fucking song from Super Mario Odyssey. Pauline. Sorry, not Rosalina. Yeah. You can already play as Rosalina.
Yeah.
I like the way that Pauline...
Is her little symbol a kiss mark?
Yep. It's a heart that's also
her mouth.
Lips.
That's fucking adorable.
I just think we need to get Pauline, there's
so many female characters in Nintendo now.
Like,
she should be in Smash.
Oh, yeah. I guess because
you have like Daisy, you have Peach. You might as well have Pauline in there fucking shit up.
I think that they probably wouldn't have her as like a she would probably be like a mirror, like an Echo character.
Yeah.
But then who would she be an Echo character of? Because like Peach and Daisy are already Echo characters, and you got like Zelda.
Is Rosaline?
I think
in Smash. I feel like I should fucking know that.
I don't actually know that. It wouldn't surprise me if she is.
Because that'd be a good trade-off, right? Like, they're similar.
Maybe, but Rosalina has like all that kind of like floofy like star magic and stuff.
Yeah.
Rosalina and Luma are definitely in Smash.
But you could...
Yeah. In Ultimate.
You could...
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what you would trade for that. Like, I don't know how you'd reskin it.
Yeah.
Entirely. But, you know.
Maybe it's just Little Mac.
Maybe she should be... That'd be fucking great. She's just in there like fucking boxing balls.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the way that she's been brought back is, you know, as a... you know what she would be? She'd be an assist trophy, right? Like, that comes out and then does something. Like, she come out with the band and she sings the song and it, like, stuns everybody or something, right? Anyway. Well, speaking of Nintendo and Smash Brothers, we got an interesting tease from the Zelda, the guy that's the Zelda chief over at Nintendo. After what is that?
His job title?
I think so.
That's awesome.
Edgy Anuma.
And it's not Matt Frank.
Yeah,
Matt Frank, Zelda chief.
They were having concerts, like Zelda concerts, because they do that in Japan because it's rad and not like. You know,
not like here.
Not
fucking
here.
Sucks.
Right. And apparently he came out and teased the announcement at the end of the show by saying, quote, "I know what you're thinking, Skyward Sword on the Switch, right?" And there was like a bunch of...
Everyone's like, no one's thinking that.
Apparently there's not a lot more in this article about what came after that.
He just walked away and everyone's like, what?
What? But I think that if you put Skyward Sword on the Switch... That would be really interesting, especially if you went back and remade it so that you could play it with just a controller.
Yeah.
Do
they sell it with the controller like the Pokemon Let's Go has the Pokeball and you just...
a little sword.
Just a little sword that you can control. I mean, the button configuration and then you slash the sword.
Technically, you could use those controllers on the Switch as motion controllers, but I think it would be like... but then you wouldn't really be able to play it portably unless you had it deployed and you had the two Joy-Cons removed.
Right.
But if they did that, I mean, like one of the major problems that I had with that game was just that it made me stand up in my living room swinging my arms around for 20 hours, right? Like I wouldn't have much of a problem with it if I could just sit there. Like the story was not terrible to me.
Yeah.
It was more just that I didn't want to stand up and swing my arms around. I don't want to play video games like that.
Okay. How many times did you play... on a VR, Super Hot.
Super Hot?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How long did you stand flailing your arms in Super Hot?
About like 45 minutes at a time because after that I was literally physically tired from playing the game. Yes. I play like 3 rounds of Beat Saber and then I'm just like, okay, no, I gotta rest. So anyway, I think that's an excellent idea. I would be totally down with Skyward Sword coming into the Switch. Tell you what else I'm totally down with, that's Death Stranding. And apparently Walmart Canada listed Death Stranding with a June release date.
So, Walmart Canada.
Yep.
What the fuck is up with you guys and your inability to fucking handle anything?
Yeah.
Canada can't be trusted with anything.
Nope. So somebody actually tweeted at Walmart Canada saying, elaborate please on this listing for Death Stranding with a June 30th, 2019 ship date. And Walmart Canada says, hi, as per the information stated for this item, this is a pre-order that will ship in June.
Wow.
So...
God damn it, Walmart Canada, you ruin everything.
I think it's great. I want to know when it ships. Like,
yeah, but if it doesn't, now you're just going to be like, oh.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Get my hopes up. I mean, like... But
June
listen,
is like a great time for that game to come out.
It is in a Hideo as a Hideo Kojima like long timer.
Yeah, lifer.
I will know that information, but I'm not going to start putting X's on the calendar. I'm just going to like kind of just play some other games, do some other stuff. And I'll be like, oh shit, it's June. Is that game still coming out on June? Great. Has it been pushed back to 2025. This is fine too.
Yeah,
it's other stuff.
You can wait until May before you believe it.
Yeah, very much so. And in the meantime, you can play other stuff like the first escalation that came out for Hitman 2.
Oh, shit.
So you can play off the Macmillan surreptition in Hitman 2 right now that's in the South America, Santa Fortuna level.
Great title.
They all have weird-ass titles like that. I don't usually do that many escalations, but What you won't be doing, though, is playing Elder Scrolls Blades anytime this year because it's been pushed out to 2019. So, if you're looking
you have like very little days left in this year.
Yep.
So, guess what you're not going to play within the next 30 days?
Well, it was funny because Red Dead Online was supposed to happen like, quote, before the end of November, unquote.
And they barely got under the wire.
Yeah, like 3 days.
Still technically November.
Still technically November, yeah. And I kept looking at it every week where I'm just like, it would be really nice to have a reason to play more Red Dead on this channel where everybody likes to see Red Dead. So, yeah. Bad news. You got to wait till next year to play Elder Scrolls Blades. Who cares? Whatever.
I care. No, I don't care.
I'll tell you what I do care about, even though this is not a surprise to anybody. It's a long time coming. Way back years and years and years ago, Rockstar came out and talked about a game that they were making called Agent. It was going to be a 1980s-based Cold War spy game that they were going to do.
I do not recall this.
Sounded amazing. It was going to be a PlayStation 3 exclusive. Years went by, and they never talked about it ever again. And, well, they've just let the trademark slip on it, so they're pretty much done. So I wasn't really holding... It wasn't like I was holding my breath on this one. But
I thought this was another one of those, like, slipped under the wire, like, and it's coming out!
And it's out right now!
You could still technically play it on the PlayStation 3.
Yep. All right, before we get to the break, a couple more clothing stories.
Okay.
If you want to look like a real nerdlinger, Sony's putting out some shoes that are all PlayStation gray and have like the PlayStation logo and stuff on them.
Yeah.
And they really look ugly because one side has the PlayStation logo and the other side has some other bullshit on it.
Yeah.
That looks gross, and I don't like it.
That's also like first PlayStation. Like, it's not
PS1.
Yeah, it's that PS1 gray. You know, that gross as shit gray.
Yep. So yeah, you can get those shoes if you want.
I mean, they're kind of neat if you're like a sneakerhead or something. But
a what?
Sneakerhead, somebody that like buys sneakers and collects sneakers.
I don't like how much they've got the designer's logo all over this. Like, put the fucking X's and O's from the PlayStation all over.
Are those not
where
the
little Velcros has them?
No, the shoelace, the little like holes for the shoelaces have them.
Oh, here?
Is it? Yeah. Oh no, those are just little green.
No, they're just little grommets, but they're in the green and the blue of the controller. But yeah, these kind of suck.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They're not. No, I don't wear those kinds of shoes anyway.
How much do they cost? I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to buy them. I'll tell you what else.
$750.
I'm not going to buy is Rockstar has some shirts, some Red Dead 2 denim shirts that you could buy. Yep.
Why? That almost looks like Ash from Evil Dead cosplay outfit.
I can see that. Yeah, they're from a clothing company called Barking Irons.
Fucking course they are.
They're $120 to $150 per shirt.
Go fuck yourself.
I mean, they don't even look like really special.
You go to Walmart and get a shirt that looks like that.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Like, I don't need to pay $150 for a denim shirt.
Yeah.
Let's go to Canadian Walmart and just get one.
At least if you go to Canadian Walmart, you'll know exactly when you're getting it because they will tell you.
Yep. Also, there's this bag that I don't think I've ever seen in the entire game.
Yeah, but it's a nice looking bag, though.
$325.
Not that nice looking, though.
I mean, like, why not just sell Arthur's satchel, right? Like, I'd maybe, no, I mean, I wouldn't, but people might.
Yeah.
Or like, like his hat with the little rope around it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, goodness. And last but not least, in an interesting story that I think maybe only has meaning to both you and I.
Oh, good.
Last week, something interesting happened. Where Lady Gaga tweeted, "When you beat Chapter 4 of Bayonetta and then realize Chapter 5 is going to kick your ass, skull, crying face, secret, #gamergirl, the shadow remains tough." And then Nintendo replied, "You got this." Apparently, Lady Gaga is playing Bayonetta on the Switch right now.
Did she honest to God hashtag that shit gamer girl?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, keep going.
That sucks.
That's just, who fucking does that?
I don't know.
Goddamn Lady Gaga does.
Somebody who has no relation to the actual public, right? Who's just, still, see another one, still playing Bayonetta, middle of Chapter 13, and my hands hurt and I have to sleep, and it's 4 in the damn morning, but this damn dragon with the face that I have to kill with my weave. SMH. Give it another go in the morning.
Lady Gaga would.
Hashtag gamer respect to the experts. I need emotional support. Well, the interesting thing about this is that Hideki Kamiya, the guy that made Bayonetta, who we actually had a story like months ago about how he, like, if you try to tweet at him in English, he just auto bans you.
Yeah.
Literally, like, replied to that.
Oh man, I was really hoping you're gonna be like, and then he banned
Lady Gaga. Like, I don't know you, bitch.
Block.
So just go with fortitude, little smiley face.
Oh,
but yeah.
So Lady Gaga's a really interesting character.
Yeah.
As a person, because she is a diehard metalhead.
Yeah.
And plays video games and has openly talked about both of those things, but everyone exclusively knows her for
like wearing meat and
being like avant-garde, costumey, and then just like random pop electro 80s shit.
Yeah.
It's so weird that it's just so funny to see, but she's also so disconnected from the world at this point that her interactions are fucking hilarious too.
Hashtag gamer
like
girl.
She's still like kind of the person she was before fame, but also very much not like human anymore.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Like completely disconnected from regular
or maybe
people.
This whole thing is a trick, and
maybe
she's up for the role of Bayonetta.
Well, Bayonetta 3 announced. So
maybe she'll do the theme song for it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm not fucking against it. If anyone would wear the fucking Bayonetta outfit, it would be Lady Gaga.
That would be pretty rad. Because
she's like, a character who only wears an outfit made exclusively out of her hair.
Yep.
Gee, I wonder who would wear that outfit.
Maybe she's just at home growing her hair to literally
gluing it down on her tits. Like, so close.
The actual outfit. And we're gonna go ahead and take a break. But when we come back, we're gonna run through some questions. So stick around and we'll see you in just a minute. For questions. Amanda, you ready for questions?
No, let's do it anyway.
Okay. MailerAgeSite.com is the email address to send your questions into. Please send in questions. We need lots of questions.
Yeah, we like to answer all the questions.
Yep. Our first question this week comes in from Max. Max says, hey, Jeff and Amanda, got a question for you all to delve into about what makes people tend to like one game mechanic over another. When listening to your podcast conversation on Fallout 76, I was disappointed to hear John and you tear apart it and other Bethesda games. Though I was highly skeptical of Fallout 76 at first, I quickly found myself hooked by its game mechanics, such as looting, completing mysterious stories, and playing with friends to complete tasks. I try not to care what others think about games, but as I respect John and you a lot, it was honestly painful to hear the vitriol about Bethesda games since I spent hundreds of hours of my life playing them. Clearly the game mechanics hooked me, and my friends failed completely for you. Which made me wonder, what do you think happens in our life to make us love one game mechanic over another? How is it growing up that we gain a tendency to like story over gameplay or graphics? Long-time listener and fan, Max. And before we go into this, I did just want to say to Max that John's a little bit more down on Bethesda games than I am. I think that the conversation that we had last week was basically about how I think the reason that a lot of people like Bethesda games is not necessarily because of the combat mechanics. It's because of the storyline. And so by kind of pulling the storyline, you're
losing a crucial element of the game.
Well, what we were saying is that you're now forced to look at what Bethesda combat mechanics are like in a void, and that the combat mechanics a lot of times can't make up for they're not as engaging on their own.
Yeah.
And so it makes the whole thing feel even more empty, than it would otherwise. And that's, Max, I got to say that I still think that Elder Scrolls is okay. I have a certain amount of fun playing it. And I really like Fallout, the other Fallout games or Fallout 3 and New Vegas, because I do like the VAT system. But it's weird because it's okay, well, the VAT system is fun the way it stops the game and you get this little cutscene where you're shooting at stuff. So when you're taking that out, I kill everything in Fallout with VATs. So by taking that out, it's well, that was one of the things that I liked the most out of the combat system.
Yeah, then it's just kind of not that game for you anymore.
So then it's okay, well, I've just got a first person shooter where it's one of those first person shooters where if your shoot stat isn't high enough, you aren't going to hit. No, it's not even like that. It's not even that. It's mostly just that I don't know. It's just not super fun. And okay, this is actually an interesting answer to your question, Max. Is that Fallout?
Did you just compliment your own answer? This is an interesting answer.
This is an interesting answer that you're going to hear from me right now. Aren't you lucky to be listening to this podcast?
Congratulations.
So when it comes to asking, like, what do you think makes us love one game mechanic over another?
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, and especially these days, a lot of it comes from the pedigree of the game. So Fallout started as an isometric turn-based RPG. And I played that. I played that game when it came out. And so that isometric combat system was okay, and this isn't even just Bethesda, because they made Fallout 1 and they made Fallout 2, and they were both amazing, and they both had these really big branching storylines, right? Or interesting storylines, different ways to do stuff. Then they made a game that a lot of people forget about called Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel, and it was mostly just the combat engine. Like, there was a slight storyline, but it was mostly just getting into a lot of combat, and I couldn't finish it because the combat in Fallout was fine, but it was better when it was connected to a story that I cared about,
right?
As opposed to just being kind of like, you're just driving around with the Brotherhood of Steel, blasting on people. That wasn't as satisfying unto itself as just the story. Now, on the other hand, there's an isometric tactics game, the Final Fantasy Tactics, not the PlayStation one, but Tactics Advance, which was the Game Boy one.
Okay.
Where I was so engrossed by just the ins and outs of the combat system that I would just like to play the combat system. Like, the story was good, but the combat system, in my opinion, was like really engaging because of the way that you were, setting up these kind of like chains. They had this thing where matches would have rules, so it's like no magic in this one, and you have to be like, oh, how am I going to do this, right? So I don't know if I really have a silver bullet answer, but what I could say is that, I started playing video games when I was in the arcades where there wasn't really much of a storyline,
right,
and it was just kind of twitchy gameplay, and that was like your big thing. And so when story started to become more important, like, I think there's a reason that like Final Fantasy was such a big thing, or like Dragon Warrior on the NES, where it's like you had this big kind of overarching storyline, and suddenly the game was about a character and a plot more than it was just about like, can you get to the next level of Russian attack or final fight, right? Like, and that once I started seeing that storyline became more important, because a good story can make up for a bad game, but the good game, it's hard to find as many examples of really excellent gameplay that has a really bad story attached to it, or like the storytelling is all garbage, but the game is so fun that you'll play. I think somebody even sent in a question asking us like
what examples of that,
right? And I think that I was just like, I can't think of anything, because if the story sucks, I mean, maybe like, I was gonna say like the voice acting in like Resident Evil 1 was bad, but like the story was still interesting.
You're this solid,
haunted house and this weird corporation, got the lab underneath it, and the zombies, So that for me, I think, is the way that I started playing games when games didn't have that much of a story, and then once story started getting injected into games, it was such a breath of fresh air. I mean, I don't know. That's always been my thing. Like, I'll watch a crappy movie if I like the story.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas you can have a movie that has really great special effects. Like, you could take Avatar and just take it and just leave the world with it, and I don't care about it. I don't care about the sequels because the story was so bland that I didn't care about any of the blue cat people or their planet. Or
it's just, it causes there are often times of me yelling about the Avatar world.
Yeah,
because I think James Cameron's lazy. Because he waited years for the technology to catch up to him.
Right.
That's what he said. But that story could have been told with fucking sock puppets.
Yep.
It was a generic story. So what he was waiting for was to dazzle people with his magic CGI. and give him no story. He had years to work on a script, and he gave us The Last of the fucking Mohicans. Like, it's real fucking annoying to me, that mentality, when I am such a fan of like storytellers that do more than that. That with less money.
Yeah.
Like Peter fucking Jackson pre Lord of the Rings is a great example of a person that'll tell a good story with a low fucking budget.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a huge fan of Sam Raimi, and I can tell you right now that man's done a lot with just nothing.
Oh hell, like what's that? Brick? Like,
yeah,
that was a movie that was go to the well, right? Clerks was like a zero budget movie, but it captured a thing. It was, you know, it was in a time and a place where like disaffected early 90s culture, like youth culture, wasn't as represented, and just to see some like schlubby guys in the suburbs working shitty jobs and talk to each other, it's just like, oh shit, it's me.
Yeah.
Like, none of these other movies are me. None of these other young people, these beautiful people having all their blah blah blah. The friends aren't my friends.
Right. Yeah.
But like, I know Randall. Yeah. Like, I've known about 8 people that are like Randall. I think,
and that's the difference between something. It's such a weird, such a great idea to compare the two, Friends and Clerks, because Friends are just like people that know each other, that are just loaded and can hang out at any time whenever they want.
Yep.
And Clerks makes more sense to me because most of the time my friends are the people I work with, because I don't have time to go hang out with other people.
Yep.
So it just clicks more. Like, that's why they make sense, because it's like, well, why would they be friends? Well, it's like, because they spend 8 hours a day together at least.
Yep.
Every day, 5 days a week. That's why they're friends.
Also, you know, you look at the dynamic of like, you know, Randall is obvious. Like, you could see Dante being irritated with Randall.
Yeah, all the time.
And yet, like, how many of us over the course of our lives have had an irritating friend, somebody that you're friends with for whatever reason, whether it's like time or like you went to school with them or like they're a friend of another friend and they're just part of the group, and you're just like, Jesus.
Or you work with them and you have to spend a lot of time with them.
Again with this Paul, like, but you know, you're still their friend and you hang out with them, as opposed to, like, you could look at Friends, and I remember when I was a teenager looking at the show Friends and just being like, kind of being sad that my life wasn't like that, because it seemed like such a great like world.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, and then you see something like Clerks and you're just like, yeah, it's one of the reasons I like Clerks 2, because
I love Clerks 2.
Clerks 2 came out.
I feel like I'm the only person that did.
No, like, it came out when I was in my early 30s or close to it, and my friend group was starting to dissipate. And so that idea that like, oh, well, we're having to give up all the things that we did when we were younger because we're quote unquote adults now. And I was like, man, you know what? I dig that as a story. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So like, to go back to the question about like, why do some people gravitate towards some gameplay versus other gameplay? I think, and this might be a cold way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Because this also plays into the like, I was in a really dark time and I listened to that song and it just inspired me and it made me feel good. And I don't want to be shitty, but sometimes, a lot of the times, I don't necessarily think it's the song. I think it's like, or the whatever it is. I think it's the like mentality you are when that thing clicked with you. So it could have been the next song on the radio that did it and not this particular song. It could have been the next game you played and not this particular game. But you imprinted on whatever it was at that right perfect time. And that's why you like that gameplay, because you were that kid that was 6 years old and you finally got to fucking grab the controller, or it's the first game you ever beat and now you want that same feeling over and over again, and whether you realize it or not, that's the one you did. And I think it's just that. It's just the luck of the draw of what you personally imprinted on. Like, I know why I like the kind of games I like, because I was always player 2 and everything, I don't know, it's hard to...
So that's why you like Luigi.
That is why I like Luigi. That is why I like Luigi. But I also just, I mean, I'm always gravitated towards player 2 characters, because I am player 2. Because I'm the younger sibling. So of course I'm the fucking player 2.
Right.
But also like harder games that I wouldn't get to play until my brother either beat it or he wasn't playing it anymore. Mm-hmm. So like I didn't get to play Mega Man until he was done playing Mega Man. But those were the games that I sat and watched him play and waited to play.
Okay.
So now I like games that are kind of difficult like that, like a Cuphead or something, because it's that same style for me. And then I like puzzle games because he didn't play those, so those are the only ones that I got to play.
Okay, I can see that.
So I think a lot of it is that, but I also think, a lot of it is things you can kind of train yourself out of, and it's not 100% dedicated to, it's never like I only play first person shooters. Some people are, but there are plenty of people, like I play first person shooters.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think when it's people that are like a much more like dedicated, it's because something imprinted on them and they just held on to it, and that's the only thing they went for and looked for. But I
also there's a few other. I mean, I was thinking about this question. There's a few other things that I know definitely factor into it. I'm not a multiplayer guy.
Yeah,
and I've never before Rage Select even like. I mean, my friends and I would play Counter-Strike together, but like I never...
It's also different when it's you and your friends playing an online game versus you jumping in on like a random Black Ops or whatever.
But like I feel like we kind of wore it out, right? Like we kind of did that, and then there was a certain point where I'm like, I'm sick of this now. I don't want to play any more Counter-Strike. I don't want to play any more Team Fortress. Like my friends still like to play Team Fortress, but it got to a point, and this is specifically for me, where I don't want to play with other people, even my friends, because I'm not as good at these types of games. When I did used to play with my friends in like MMOs or whatever, it would always be that when my one friend was like 100 levels higher than me, and he's like, oh, I'll power level you, and so I'm just running behind him as he just kills the world, and I'm like, well, this isn't any fucking fun. Like I'm not even getting anything out of this.
Yeah.
So I like to play by myself in a room with the lights off. No.
Yeah. How's a glass of wine?
Yeah. I know. I like to play by myself. Like I like to play video games by myself. And so the idea of like, that's one of the other problems with Fallout, where it's like, oh, well, you want... there was a mod for Skyrim or something at one point, I feel like, that was like, oh, you can bring your friends in to play Skyrim with you. And I'm like, I don't fucking want to do that. Yeah. Like, I don't want to, I'll do shit in Skyrim where I'm just fast traveling back and forth to like get stuff and then craft things.
Yeah, you don't want to do that with somebody in tow.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Fuck no. Like, I don't want to do any of that stuff with friends. There was never a point in my life where I was like, oh, you know what this Fallout game is missing is my asshole friends. Like... Yeah. And then by the same token, it's like, okay, well, we're all going to role play. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that either. Like, I don't want either one. I just want to play a game by myself. And then the other thing that I feel like, Max, that I mean, like, again, I'm not trying to just like make a list or bash on this, is
God, this game is awful.
Well, no, it's that over the years, and especially in 2018, I don't have time for games that aren't good anymore. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know.
Especially not this year.
No. I don't have time for games that aren't fucking terrific. Like from the moment that you boot it up, you're just like, this is my new best friend, and I love it. Because I've got a backlog of like 8 or 9 games that are fantastic that I need to go back and play. And so the idea of trying to find the fun in a game that I'm not really having any fun with, it's like, why would I do the work to find the fun in Fallout 76 when I could go back and finish Persona 5, a game that I was having a lot of fun with? Yeah. I go back to Divinity Original Sin 2, a game that I absolutely fell in love with. Hell, I could go back and finish off... I could replay Breath of the Wild and know that I'm going to have more fun than I'm going to have.
It's
with
not
76. Like,
it's not your job to make the game fun. It's the game's job to be fun.
Yeah.
And like more power to people who want to like sit and immerse themselves in this world, and that's what makes this world better and everything. But it's not a person's fault for not wanting to dedicate the time to do that.
Yes.
I feel the same way about like TV shows where they're like, you got to get through 2 real bad seasons and then you get like 4 good ones. Like, I don't have time in my life to dedicate to that sort of shit. You're asking for at least like 10 hours of my life that I don't have.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I'll make the other argument where like, you know what? There are plenty of TV shows that I probably should be watching, but I don't. Like, I want to watch House. Like, because I can put House on in the background I've already seen, and I can fucking play Red Dead and just have House on and then go like, oh, are they doing a thing? Cool. Yeah. And like look over and then go back and be like, oh, Hugh Laurie's being an ass. All right, great. Back to Hitman 2, like.
Good job, House.
So that's really where I'm at. And the thing is that I don't ever want it to be like another thing. Just to briefly say before we move on to the next question, because we've been on this one forever, is please don't allow anybody disliking a game that you like to make it seem less fun to you. Because if you like a thing, you like a thing, you like a thing. And too much these days are we all getting into this thing where, like, if you like a thing and I don't like it, you're going to try to make me like it. And if you don't like a thing and I like it, you're going to make me try to not like it.
That's why I don't watch 2-hour fucking dissertations on
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. God, I can't stand it. Like, anyway. People, have you seen it? Everyone hates it. And I'm like, don't care. I liked it. Bye.
Yeah. All right, one more question about Fallout 76, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Henry writes in and says, "Hey, Jeff and Amanda, with the recent debacle that was Fallout 76 release, do you think there was ever a way to save that game, or was it a flawed concept from the start? Personally, I don't play Fallout for the combat aspects, but for the role-playing, and all Fallout 76 is, at the end of the day, is co-op combat with some base building. Keep up the good work, Henry." Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a way to make it better. They did it. It's called Elder Scrolls Online, where it's just Elder Scrolls, but there's a quest giver that gives you a quest. Like, if it's going to be an MMO, make it an MMO. Like, don't make it a survival game. Some people like survival games. I'm not a real big fan of that. You got to keep your food level up. You got to keep your drinking level up.
Yeah.
Like, you got to make a farm so that you can have enough food and water every day to be able to keep your meters from going down. There's a reason I don't play Rust or DayZ or Minecraft for that matter. But in Elder Scrolls Online, there'd just be a town, and you would walk up to a person. They'd be like, "Hell, hero, I need you to go help me clear out this catacombs of all these skelebones. Come on, let's go." And you'd be like, "Okay." And then you'd run down there and you'd kill 18 skelebones, and there'd be a boss, and then you'd be done with it. I don't know why. I don't honestly know why they decided to take out all the people in the world.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about solving the mysteries from some tape recorder. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe it's a fault on my part where, like, I need to see a fake person be like, "Help me, my town is on fire."
Yeah, you need somebody there to tell you, and not like a podcast writing around with
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't just need a note. Like, all the side quests in Red Dead that I didn't do were ones where somebody handed me a note telling me to go to a place.
Yeah, you're like, what?
It's like, nope. No,
I'm not the postman.
However, if somebody on the side of the road's like, "Hey, help me," I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll totally help you."
You just shoot them and ride off.
Mm-hmm. You just clock them with your gun, clock them in the head with your pistol, right off. No, I that's what I would do. Is I would put NPCs in. Like, I honestly feel like they could even do what they're doing if they just put NPCs in, and then maybe rework some of the combat so that, like, if you are going to make a game where loot is desirable, then you need to have like more, I don't know, like unique, like this is Preston Garvey's shotgun, or like, oh, this one has it procs fire. Like the way the Borderlands did, like gun loot drops, and they all had all these weird guns with different effects, and then you had enemies that were like, more susceptible to certain effects than other effects. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist in Fallout 76, but when I was playing it, I mean, I played it for like 2 or 3 hours. It just seemed like everything was just like, I don't know, just
shoot at it, I guess.
Shoot it or hit it with a bat until it dies. Put out stim packs. More than anything, I feel like, I don't know, it's like with Suda 51 where they maybe needed somebody else to come in and really revamp the combat system.
Yeah.
I would probably try to do something different with VATS, because the whole virtual VATS thing doesn't seem to work at all.
Yeah.
But so anyway, that's what I would do, Henry. Amanda, do you have anything you would do?
No, I mean, it's hard for me to say because I don't really play Fallout games anyway.
Yeah.
So doesn't do much for me either way.
Maybe reduce the number of people per server, right? Like, make it so that meeting another person is really like a big deal. I mean, but see, the problem there is...
but then you're making it more desolate, right?
Yeah, maybe. But you're getting into the same problem, I guess, that I had in No Man's Sky, where it's like, well, technically I could find another person in No Man's Sky, but why would I want to?
Yeah.
Like, what can I do with that person? That's the other problem with Fallout 76.
Travel the galaxy together.
Like, one of the things with Rust was that people in Rust could, like, like, if they found you, they could, like, rob you and take all your shit. So...
I mean, but if we're talking making bases and destroying things, are you not talking about Fortnite?
No. I mean, not really. It's, Rust is a much closer example because Fortnite doesn't have the survival thing. So it's like having somebody raid your base and take all your shit means a lot more if you've been like trying to build up all that stuff.
Okay, that makes sense.
But that's another way that you might fix it is make it like the goddamn Thunderdome, where like make it prison rules, where you get on that Fallout 76 server and the first thing that happens is another player is probably going to find you and take everything that you own and kill you.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, I guess I got to find some people to try to get in with in order to like have safety on this server. I mean, that would at least then make it interesting. But like the simple fact is that like there's no consequence to running into another person.
Yeah, if you made it like your gangs or something, it might help you out. Where it's just like you can choose to not be affiliated, but you're much more susceptible to be like attacked. And then if you're part of a gang, you're fine in that gang or in that like territory, but then you're susceptible to bigger attacks from rivals if you're in their territory. And have roaming things that you need to do within each so that, sometimes it benefits you to stay where you're at. Sometimes it benefits you to go out with more enemies. I mean, it's a weird...
And that would make the nukes work better too, right? Because then if you like, your gang was like fourth on the totem pole, but then you guys managed to do the hard work of getting the nuke codes, and then you nuke the headquarters of one of the first place gang on the server and fuck up all their shit. The problem is that you have to have consequences in order for that to be a thing.
What if you had like because you need multiple things for the nukes?
Yeah.
So what if one gang has half of it, one gang has the other half, and then they like create alliances to set off the nuke at like a different gang or like whatever.
Or you could
else.
do it like EVE Online does it, where like in order for you to get the keys, you have to like build them, but building them takes like an enormous amount of resources and time, where it takes like 3 days and enough resources that only a big group of people could put them in order to build a launch code decryptor or something like that then you can use for one shot with one nuke. And that way, like, then when one gang starts building the nuke code, like, send out a broadcast to the entire server that's like, the fucking Red Dragons are building a nuke code. Yeah. You got 36 hours until they're going to be done. And then everybody's like, fuck, everybody get online. We got to raid these assholes. Yeah. And then the Red Dragons have to be like, oh, fuck.
We need to fortify everything.
Right. We need to fucking, like, man the towers. And then you can get some of that EVE Online bullshit where you get the stories of, like, oh, man, on the biggest Fallout 76 server last night, it turns out that, like, the fucking purple nurples came after the Red Dragons, and there was like 10 seconds left, and they got in and they killed them, but then the last of the Red Dragons still managed to
hit the button.
Hit the button. But then it turns out that they were trying to go after the bronze chickens, and then then you'd be like, wow, that sounds great. I want to play that game, right? Like, but it has to have consequences. Like before the game even came out, when they were like, well, what happens if somebody nukes your settlement? And it's like, you'll get everything back and then you can just redeploy it somewhere else. And it's like, well, then why bother? Who cares?
It takes away from the entire act of doing it in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
It's a baby's game.
It's a game for babies. No. All right, let's see. Dan writes in and says, hello. Hello there. After following yourself and a few others for years, I am considering starting to create some web content of my own, including videos and podcasting. Any advice on reaching and then growing an audience? Is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started up? Thankfully, I have the equipment side taken care of and access to sound-treated room, as I own a small music store that has a recording studio attached to it. Thanks for everything, and that's Dan. So... Dan, I'm afraid that I don't really know, because I had the biggest leg up in the world being able to pull people from Spill when we left.
Mm-hmm. And they're all gone now.
And they're mostly gone now. Yeah, that is true. I mean, I still maintain that it's that bullshit YouTube algorithm, because my subs haven't dropped, but just I don't think that anybody's being shown my videos, right? Because there's got to be some reason. Like, look. Leisure Suit Larry Part 1 was a funny Let's Play with you and I, but it was by no means like the greatest Let's Play that's ever happened.
How fucking dare I worked hard on that.
I think that one was was it part 2 where I actually cut content where we couldn't figure out what to do for like 20 minutes. But like for some reason that video got hooked by the algorithm in the right way.
Yeah, and we were like the first thing that showed up when you typed in Leisure Suit Larry.
It's got like 10,000 hits or something now. You know?
Yeah, you're fucking welcome.
Nothing on the website has 10,000 hits, and yet somehow it
does.
Yeah, slotted in there. So I don't know. Like part of me says you should go look at people who know the algorithm or whatever.
The algorithm's always changing, so it's hard to gauge. But it's important to note things like
almost 10,000.
Have a regular schedule. I don't strongly suggest telling people your schedule or your intentions for a schedule. I like more often than not, I subscribe to a lot of people will be like, hey everybody, I'm getting back to my normal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday video sessions, and then they don't do it, and then kind of but there's a lot of people will be like, oh, I do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and I had a hard week or whatever, and I'm going to go back to doing Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and then 2 weeks later they're not doing that again. I don't suggest saying it is what I'm saying, but I think for you should know that whether it's one video a week or 7 videos
a live stream and a podcast,
right? That you should be fairly regular. I would strongly suggest being even time regular, like not just Tuesdays, but like Tuesdays at 4:00 your time or whatever it is. That way, people who know you, even if it doesn't show up on their feed, should know to look. I think it's really important to not put unlisted videos on your YouTube because that fucks with your algorithm and your views. So that's always like, have a separate channel for stuff that's unlisted or private or anything like that, or be willing to delete your videos. There are people that'll put 20-second videos and be like, hey, we're doing a live stream in an hour, so come check us out. And then they delete those because after they get viewed, if you leave those on there, it fucks with your algorithm a little bit of having like a 20-second video that everybody watches, and then afterwards like a 20-minute video that nobody watches all the way through. It fucks with your algorithm. So you're better off having that 20-minute video than a 20-second video. I'm trying to think of all the different things
I got a few. So one thing that I would say is don't do rage select.
That's taken anyway. I wouldn't strongly suggest.
Yeah, don't you pick a different name than rage select? No, I would say
rage
that
select 2.
I had this dream, especially in the loading bar days, and especially now, of just trying to cover everything. I feel like a lot of times channels work better if you specialize. It can. I don't feel like it's good to just be broad at the very beginning, maybe. But like looking at something that specifically you feel like you have a great passion for, or that you can add something new that you haven't seen before to, would be good. Also, honestly, I mean, like, I'd probably start on Twitch if I had to do it all over again.
Well, Twitch wasn't as big of a thing if you like. So if you were starting now,
But if I was starting now, I think I'd probably go to Twitch first because, man, like YouTube is so clogged, and you can put like replay videos on YouTube, but like people really dig the live interaction on Twitch.
I would do simultaneous, honestly. Like if I were trying to make this my career, I would do both. I think it's really tough. What you're eventually going to do is have a glut of things happening on Twitch, and then you're going to get lost in that. And you might be better off just having a back catalog, even if your YouTube doesn't get as popular. If you have a YouTube and a Twitch going at the same time, once a week you're posting something on YouTube, and then once a week you're live streaming on Twitch, or however you want to do it. I think it's better because either you're going to have like this back catalog of Twitch live streams, or you're going to have a back catalog of YouTube Let's Plays.
Yeah.
And that way you can intercross the audience a little bit, or drive one to one side or drive one to another. And if one hits and one doesn't, then that's even better. I also would strongly suggest finding people that you know are super reliable if you're going to work with other people, or really, really, really learn to do it by yourself. Because it's so easy, and I have so many friends that are like, oh, I really want to do this thing, but it takes 6 friends, and I only have one person that I can get at the same time every week. And it's like, then you need to do it with one other person. Like, then it just needs to be you and that reliable person. Because if you're like relying on a million other people to come help you, they're not going to.
Yep. I agree with all that. That's all very good advice.
We try.
Yeah. So good luck. Let us know. Let us know how it goes. I know that it's funny because every so often I'll stumble on, I mean, like Nick is 10 times as popular, if not more. There's also like,
also just do it on Nick's, just Nick alone. He just decided to do this thing, and he did it.
Yeah.
If you spend a lot of time going, well, let me think about it or hypothesize what I'm going to do, sit in front of your fucking computer, your gaming screen, your microphone, whatever you're doing,
do it
because you're better off coming out with okay episodes at first that you polish later than a 100% polished idea that you never fucking do.
Yep. Kevin said that to me back when I was first starting this, where he was like, listen, sometimes you just got to do it and then see what happens.
Go back to all of your favorite YouTubers. It's never fucking what they have now. Yeah. It's always this unpolished version of kind of the idea of where they're at now.
Yes.
You're better off just recording now and posting it than you are to be like, well, but what if I and I really should wait until I have. Nah, just do it.
Also, don't be afraid to change things up. Let things go that aren't popular. All right, Kate writes in and says, dear best video game website ever, me and my girlfriend got a Switch. This is a goddamn console. It's amazing to me that I can play on my TV, get tired, and then play it in bed. I also get to play video games with my girlfriend and see her having fun. Mario Odyssey is one of the best Mario games I've ever played. Breath of the Wild is one of the most frustratingly vast and fun games I've ever played. My question is this: do you think that cartridges could be another mainstay with Nintendo? These things seem to work by magic. Skyrim on a very tiny chip. Very little load times, good amount of detail and fluidity, pop in and play. And yet the other two make us download giant amounts of memory to play one game. This may not be a good question. If not, can we just ogle over how great the Switch is? A little patron, Kate.
I love the Switch.
Yep. Well, Nintendo, they definitely have a philosophy of like there are updates, but that like they don't ever want to release games where it's like the first thing you have to do is download a gigantic patch. Like they're more sensitive than most to that. As far as cartridges, I mean, I feel it's weird because one of the big selling points for like the PlayStation 3 was that it was also like a Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
But as we move away from physical media, I feel like it is different, right? Like that. Because, I mean, the size of the cartridge, right? Like, I've got a 128 gigabyte micro SD card that's in my camcorder, right? Like, you can fit any game on a little card. It's just going to cost more to do that. And the loading times will be better because it doesn't have to spin the CD. However, then you can't, I hate, one of the things that you can't really do that much on the Switch is watch movies. Like, they don't have a movie store. They've got Hulu and they've got like YouTube, right?
Yeah.
But like, Nintendo doesn't rent movies like Sony and Microsoft do.
Yeah.
And they don't have access to Netflix or like Amazon Prime. Do they have Amazon Prime on there?
I don't think
they do.
so.
So like, the Nintendo Switch is great, but like you can't watch.
Yeah, but literally the second they do that, they're better than really though. I mean, like I don't know, it's got everything I want on it, and I never really think about the fact, I guess because John and I have like all the consoles, so we never have to worry about it, but I never really think about the fact that like, oh man, I'm done playing Pokemon, but I wish I could just watch Netflix from here. Like, I just don't, it just doesn't hit me that way. But I don't know. We're a real digital age where we are, so it's just like I have my tiny internet on my phone, and my slightly larger internet on my tablet, and we have a computer, and we have every console known to man. So like, I'm never really wanting for more from a single thing because I could just find it some other way.
Right. You just pick up the next thing.
I just shout, and like some robot somewhere in the house will hear me and give me what I want.
See, my whole thing is that the room that we're sitting in right now that I record in, I have like a TV with a PlayStation hooked up to it right next to my computer, right next to my laptop, right next to a Switch, and all the other consoles that have existed. I mean, I've got like a tablet somewhere in here, but I don't ever use it because like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I want to look up something quickly, I do it on my phone, and when I want to like spend a lot of time engaging with digital media, I sit down in front of the bank of entertainment things that are sitting in front of me right now. So,
God, we've become detached from regular people that can only do 1 or 2 consoles.
You know, I feel like, I mean, it's different for different people, right? Like, I sympathize with folks that sit on their couch. I don't usually sit on my couch and play games because I like to be close to my game when I play it.
Nose to your TV.
Physically close to the TV screen.
I just sit on my console while I play the game.
Yeah. Let's see. Jalen writes in and says, "Hello, Jeff and Amanda. The end of the year is almost upon us, and that means a whole new year of video games and Rage Select goodness. Woo. I have 2 questions if you'd indulge me. First off, top 10 video games podcast from the cast or nah?
What?
Second, what games are you looking forward to next year? As a 90s child who's played Kingdom Hearts, I'm obligated to finish the admittedly batshit but close to my heart franchise with the last outing in January. Thanks, and may Dong please bless you with his girth consensually." That's from Jalen. I think he's asked, he or she, I don't really know. That name doesn't scream one way or the other.
Nope.
Is asking whether we're going to do a top 10, because like we were going to do our Game of the Year podcast for 2017, but I just wanted to finish like 4 games first, and then I just never got a chance to.
Never finished those 4 games.
So I do think that we're going to do that, but I think that the way that we're going to do it, I might do it with John the way that we've done it every year, because John's the only person that I know that plays enough video games to literally be on a top 10.
You'd be like, Amanda, what are your top 10 games? Well, I play Pokemon.
Right. You know, maybe Michael plays a fair amount of video games. Maybe I'll have him on as well. We could do 3 people, but I think I'm going to have to do it with the caveat of basically like, okay, here are the top 10 games that I played to completion in 2018. Here are the top 10. Here's a revised list of games that I played but didn't beat, but I think are very fun. And then like, here's some bad games or something like that. As far as games from next year, though,
that's what I'm trying to find right now. I need a list in front of me. I don't retain.
I got a list. Right here.
I got a bad list.
So we saw Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah.
Which I think looks really good.
Agreed.
Let's see. Ace Combat 7 that we talked about. I'm really into that.
Mm-hmm. My friend Pedro.
Oh, yeah.
Devolver Digital game that looks batshit crazy.
Yep. The new Metro, a game I like Metro quite a bit, and Anthem. I don't know. I want to see what Anthem is. I have a feeling I'm being disappointed, but I'm trying to keep an open mind. I want to see, like, by default, it's maybe. Who could say?
Kind of optimistic about it.
Obviously, you know, like, let's just put my cards on the table. This is Jeff from Rage Select, right? Mm-hmm. Sekiro and Death Stranding, right?
Yeah.
Like, my 2.
I hear that's coming out in June.
My 2 favorites, my 2 faves.
Someone in Canada told me.
Devil May Cry 5, kind of interested in that. Rage, Days Gone. Oh, I don't know if that other Sony game. Well, okay, just like, look, man, I know what it sounds like, but like any of the shit that Sony showed at E3, so Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2.
Yeah,
I'm
those
all
all look
stuff.
amazing.
Yeah, like I said, Rage 2. Shenmue? No. I don't know if that Star Wars game is coming out next year. It's hard to tell because a lot of times the stuff that I'm the most interested in is the stuff that we don't know about yet.
Yeah. What's that, Luigi Mansion 3?
Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch.
Ooh.
Yep. Warcraft 3 remake, the Medieval remaster, all that looks really good.
I remember playing Medieval. The dick is Cloudpunk.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot. We're just looking through a giant list here,
so
there's a lot.
Railroad Corporation, that sounds fun.
Let's see. Jupiter, Aspire, Metal Wolf Chaos XD, which is the From Software game where you play as like the president in a giant mech suit fighting the vice president. That Devolver Digital is putting out.
We watched that trailer.
Yep.
Ow.
Is there? Let's see. Sorry.
He feels nothing.
Gato
Roboto.
Yeah. Saints Row the third on the
is coming
Switch.
out on the Switch. That's weird.
All right. Bloodstained. That's one I've been looking forward to for a while. Trover Saves the Universe is the next
Battletoads
Squanch game that I want to play because I like that.
Yeah.
Look at the Squanch when they new Ori.
There's a Cuphead up there.
It's a new Cuphead.
Yeah, third to last Cuphead, the delicious
last course. Is it? You think is that the DLC that they announced?
Oh,
with Mug Woman or whatever. Or,
that's right.
The Chalice Lady or whatever. Also, there's another one I really want to play. Oh, so this Final Fantasy shit is finally coming out, but it's all next year.
Maybe.
Okay. I forget what the name. Oh yeah, Doom Eternal. That's definitely on my list.
Sequential.
Maybe.
Add it to the list. We have a long ass list.
Metroid Prime comes
Beyond
out.
Good and
maybe.
Evil. Does that have actual dates?
I think
the bottom of that list is like, I don't know.
Yeah. I forget what the name of it is, but there's also a there's this game that's being made by somebody that made something cool where it's like you play as a dude and a lady that are in hell trying to beat Satan in a drinking competition.
Oh my god, that sounds like a game you would play.
It looks so good. Like it looks like I don't know if it has a release date. In drinking video game. I think it's called is it Last Call? Is that the name of it? After Party.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's got this really cool art style.
Oh, that looks cool.
And it's who is it? It's they're the ones that made Oxenfree, but it's like
oh, that's right. Okay, I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think it looks really fun. I can't wait to play it. Like it's got a really nifty kind of art style, and you got to outdrink Satan. So what's not to like? What's not to like? Anywho, let's go ahead and see how much time we got left here. We got time for maybe one more question, maybe two. Let's see. Michael writes in and says, hello, Jeff and Amanda. Given the current state of loot boxes and the upcoming FTC investigation, do you see the industry finally pulling back on loot box mechanics, or do you see them trying to fight the laws like EA is doing in Europe? Thanks and take care, from Michael, a.k.a. the projectionist / slab bulkhead.
I'm pretty sure they're going to keep fighting it until there's a bigger loss, like a more substantial loss.
Yeah, there has to be a big enough backlash. The thing to remember, of course, is that like loot boxes, that most of the revenue from loot boxes comes from a very small percentage of the people that are playing the game.
Yeah,
is the whales that do that. So, I think yes, until either the public backlash starts to affect sales dramatically, or
they get like a big
they might
loss with some court.
Yeah, they might fuck it up hard enough that they might have to face a lawsuit or actual honest to God regulation, because they'll have.
But I think they're definitely going to ride that edge until they do.
Oh yeah, they won't give it up. I mean, it's money, right? And that's what they want, is money. Vova writes in and says, hello, sexy Jeff and our one true overlord Amanda. Hope y'all are doing well. I've been reading a book called Blood, Sweat, and Pixels recently and realized how chaotic, unpredictable, and hard video game development can be. The book tells development stories about AAA games like Destiny and Diablo 3, but also indie games like Stardew Valley and Shovel Knight. Highly recommend the book to anyone interested in how games are being made. Question, with what video game developer / creator would you like to get an interview to get cool stories and tales of development? Except for Kojima Miyazaki. You can also add any creators of movies / books / music albums if you want. Thanks for all the awesome videos, podcasts, and streams. So glad that you're back and Jeff has affiliate status, partner status. Here we come. Probably not. Your loyal fan and patron, Voba. Apparently, partner status takes like streaming 4 out of the 7 days of the week or something like that.
Oh, man.
It's a lot of streaming. But you know what? I don't think I technically reached the time stream for affiliate status.
They don't know.
I totally did.
Creators. I want to be a fly on the wall at Devolver Digital more than a like interview with them. Although I'd be intrigued to.
So you should go down and bang on their front door and irritate them.
Yeah.
Here in town
all the time.
And
yeah.
Just be like,
please.
Hey, is that lady here?
That actress
from the E3?
I will always want to interview Tim Schafer.
Sure.
I
didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I'm a huge Double Fine fan. I can't think of the other guy's name who he did the writing for it. I want to say it's Ron Gilbert, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
He's written a lot of really good point and click adventure games. And yeah, those are the two that like jump off. Yeah, it's Ron Gilbert. That jump off on the like tip of my tongue as far as game developers or writers.
I mean, I really like if I could get him to tell me, and I don't care about your stupid shit things. It's not just like I'm a Kojima fanboy. I want to know what happened with Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
Like some shit went down, and I want to know what that shit is.
Yeah.
However, I'd also like to know how the fuck Ken Levine and his company decided that like making BioShock Infinite the way that they did was a good idea, where they like made, like they literally would prototype, they would put in mechanics in the game and then develop those mechanics all the way until like they were shipping polished and then decide, no, that's no fun, and take it out of the game.
Wow.
Apparently BioShock Infinite, they made like 2.5 video games before they finally put it out. Like,
wow, that's interesting.
And that like 60 or 70% of the way through the development cycle, like 2K sent in a hatchet man to be like, all right, you have 6 months, make the game, and then I'm going to also start firing people, and you're going to make the game with what you've had. You've had several years and several $1 million to do this, and you guys appear to have just been fucking around for years. Because like I saw an E3 demo of BioShock Infinite that literally had things that are not in the game because they were taken out or scrapped or whatever before the game came out. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true for like Blizzard did Titan, right? Is that what it was called?
Mm-hmm.
And that turned into Overwatch?
Yep. Overwatch was a part of Titan before.
Overwatch was a mini game in Titan.
Yeah.
And it was the only fun thing in Titan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, I mean,
I like to talk to Suda51 just to...
just hang out.
I just, like eat some grilled cheese sandwiches, see how he is.
So, how high were you when you wrote Killer 7?
He's like, yes. Yeah. I think as far as like any video game creators, that's probably my list.
I'm trying to think of other studios that I really like. I mean, like the problem also is that, like I wouldn't mind interviewing some of the Hitman people about the way that Hitman was made because I like Hitman so much.
You mean you wouldn't mind being in person with them when you gush over how much you love their fucking games?
I'm more curious to know kind of like...
I just want to know the face to the balls that I'm sucking.
I'd like to put a face to the balls that I'm sucking. Oh, man. So, more for me, I'm interested in the way that they made no, that's not right. The way that they made that game, like, because the previous Hitman game was kind of universally despised. Hitman Absolution, like it was so weird.
Is that a different like team that made them?
I'm trying to look that up right now because I don't actually know.
You know who I would want an interview for?
Who's that?
Phil Fish.
Yeah?
Because I want to know why he is the way he is.
I think it's pretty clear why he is the way he is.
I want to talk to him, though.
Yeah. They'd be like, all right,
like,
what's your fucking problem, man?
Jesus, bro. Like, calm down with that shit.
See, Hitman Absolution was developed by IO, published by Square, and who knows whether that was a thing, but like Hitman Absolution literally has a scene where like an army of like leather-clad dominatrix nuns pulls up in like a 1970s convertible with like rocket launchers, like they're like fucking out of a Kill Bill movie or something like that.
Okay.
And it's like, why did you guys, because the thing is that the game before Absolution was Blood Money, and nobody will shut up about Blood Money, about how great Blood Money was.
Yeah.
I thought Blood Money was pretty good. But then, like, after that, they made Absolution, universally despised. I didn't think it was super bad, but, like, it was very not...
This is the black sheep of the franchise, yeah.
And then Hitman 2016 came out, and it was like, oh, it's great again. So it's like Hitman 1, 2, 3...
What were you guys drinking when you guys were making Absolution? Like, what happened?
Blood Money. You had, like, 4 games before that, and then this one game that was just like, whoa! And now we're like, oh, everybody's back on track, and it's fine. It's like weird. What happened there?
Yeah.
Like, what made you guys try to make this into a weird grindhouse? I think there's a whole level where you go to, like...
It was a sign of the times.
Dusty Texas.
Quentin Tarantino was really popular during that time. Sorry.
Maybe.
I can't think of the name of the developer. Alan Wake.
Sam... No. Sam Lake? Is that it?
Sam Lake. Alan Wake was made by Sam Lake.
I don't know.
That sounds so stupid. It's probably true.
Yeah, pretty sure that's who it is.
God damn it. Yeah, that person.
His actual name is Sammy Yarvi.
Okay, Sam Lake it is.
It goes by Sam Lake because Yarvi is Finnish for lake. Yeah.
That's adorable.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally be into talking to him about Alan Wake and the world of Alan Wake.
You know what I'd be really interested in knowing is talking to to Dan Houser about how the fuck do you write a story for Red Dead? Like, he's the guy that does all the Rockstar games.
Yeah.
He's the story developer for the Rockstar games. Like, how the fuck do you write a story that like you know is going to be that like strung out and long and kind of like just seems like a weird thing to have to put together in your mind. You know?
I'm always interested in like,
All right, one more question. This one comes in from Diego. Diego says, hi, Jeff and Amanda. Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers is doing a cool reversal for the franchise by having the light spread too far. The protagonist must become a warrior of darkness to restore balance. What other franchises would you like to see turned on their head for fun change of pace, and how would you do it? Something, Dong Lord, your little patron, Diego.
I think Hitman should become a doctor.
How do you know that Surgery Simulator isn't a secret Hitman?
He's just that bad of a doctor. I don't know what I'm doing.
No, he's trying to kill them. He's a hitman.
No, yeah.
He's a malpractice hitman. Yeah. I want to see... I'd really like to play I think it would be really cool to take some... I've always had a soft spot for Nintendo... And like that Nintendo, I'd like to see some reversal stuff where it's like in Hyrule Warriors, there was a whole section of the campaign where you played as Ganon. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it'd be kind of cool to have like a Ganon game.
Yeah.
Like the world, like Ganon, like all of his demons have been vanquished and he's like weak again and like, but he's not dead. And like the world is ruled by light. And so now you, the evil guy, have to go like knock over the 8 dungeons and steal all the sages' crystals and turn the world into darkness, or a Bowser game. And especially,
I was just gonna say, I think a Bowser game would be really interesting.
I think they would be a huge market for a Bowsette game. I think if they made a single player Bowsette platformer that had the kind of weird mechanics that you could do, maybe taking off the crown to turn into Bowser at certain points or whatever. Or, you know, I think that there's a lot of things that could be done. I mean, hell, Bowser's Inside Story and some of the Super Mario RPG stuff already does that. But like, I think it would be really interesting to take some Nintendo franchises and then like explore the back half. Maybe like make a Boo game, right? You know, the Boos from there, because it's always focusing on the main characters. You know, like maybe I'd love to see like a. Okay, I realize already as I say this that there is one of these, but it's bad. But like a good spin-off of Metroid where you don't play as Samus, where you play as somebody in that universe that is not Samus.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like you play the first half as not Samus and then it turns out that you're Samus the second half of the game or whatever. But I think Nintendo has interesting villains and I don't think that they spend a lot of time messing with them.
I'd be really interested in playing a game where you are a like large Titan slow character and then the small plucky little shooty guy is coming at you, as opposed to you always being the one that's like the quick jumper doing the thing kind of thing.
Okay.
what the fuck is? I don't know the name of the game, but where you kill all the Titans. Those.
Extinction?
No.
Oh,
I'm thinking
Attack on Titan.
No, Attack on Titan. No. It's one of those depressing games.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
I'd be interested because technically you aren't playing a great guy in that. I'd be interested in seeing the opposite end of it, where you're just trying to survive and be this peaceful creature that is getting killed, or defending yourself from people that are just attacking you for shit. How fun would it be to play Skyrim where you're the dragon that's just trying to fucking survive, and you have these knights or medieval warriors that have these special powers that are trying to get you.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to go back to my Ganon one and double down and say I want to play a JRPG where you're the bad guys. I think it'd be fun. It's been done before. Like Gaia, you play as the Satan's son in hell, and none of the demons will pay attention to you, and you've got to whip them all into shape. So the Prinnies, do you know about that?
Mm-mm.
They're penguins, and they all talk like, "Hey, dude," and
yeah, of course they do,
and they explode. So you throw them at people, and then they blow up, and
they're bogus.
Yeah. It's a really strange game franchise, but I like the idea. I don't feel like we do enough. I feel like there's so many games these days which are just there is no such thing as true heroism. Everything's a shade of gray. Just let me be the bad guy.
I would
Overlord.
like to play a Red Dead game where you're the cop and you're
the sheriff.
Yeah, you're the Wyatt Earp instead of the gang.
Yeah, maybe nice. Marston was kind of that in the first game.
Yeah, but he was kind of working within the law, outside the law. You know what I mean? For the law, outside of it a little. He wasn't exactly the greatest of guys.
Well, we'll only have to wait another, 15 years to find out when the next Red Dead comes out?
He's so old.
And that's our show for this week. Amanda, do you want to pimp out the things?
Geek Bombast. Anywhere podcasts are served. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Libsyn. You can find us on the YouTubes.
Yeah, I made a bit.ly link for that. bit.ly/geekbombast. You go right to your YouTube channel.
Yay!
Cool. Mail@ragelight.com is the email address. Send in your questions. We always need questions. And with that, we're going to go... I don't know.
Ask some questions.
I'm just going to ask people on the street questions.